Chapter 2076. Do I have a secret treasure that can help me execute the state of cycle in the Great Thousand Realms? Clearly, that is not the case for the Cycle Throne. After a round of modifications, the Cycle Throne's grade was still too low, not even a Dao tool. It was not that Xiao Chan had not used it before. However, aside from using it to travel, it was not very useful. What could it be? Xiao Chan felt somewhat depressed. He could not think of anything, so he shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He could already feel the blood-color mark between his eyebrows weakening bit by bit. Perhaps he could not remain in this dragon city for long. The blazing sun in the distance was sinking into the golden ocean bit by bit, and only a trace of its afterglow could be seen. Who knew what would happen when the desolate slaves and the army of the dead returned to the city? Even if he could stay, he would have to leave first. In any case, with the divine universe steel in his hand, he could come to this land of the blood moon any time he wanted. The prerequisite was that he had sufficient resources. Speaking of resources, Xiao Chun felt a headache. He had undergone a complete transformation in this land of the blood moon. His strength had improved qualitatively. He had successfully awakened his divine body once, grasped martial and soul as one, perfectly merged his three great Tao, and attained the heaven dragon body. Breaking the mundane, resolving the mundane, and entering hell, Xiao Chun had thoroughly mastered the first three moves of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. Furthermore, he had obtained the 10,000 Dragons art and a copy of the 10,000 Dragons picture in his mind. The combat experience he gained from fighting the black and white eggs was extremely valuable. In terms of benefits, there were simply too many. His strength had increased tremendously. However, he did not have any true resources, such as primeval heavenly pills, superior grade spirit jades, natural treasures, or spirit pills. Speaking of which, Xiao Chun felt frustrated. The previous heaven dragon should not have been so ruthless. If the previous heaven dragon had left behind some trash, he would not have been so poor. Without resources, Xiao Chun could not do many things. He could not cultivate the purple thunder divine incantation and the demonic cloud heaven swallowing art. He could not break through his cultivation, and he could not activate the Tao platform in the divine universe steel. The ancient city is so huge. It should be enough if I just scavenge a little. Although Xiao Chun could not obtain the blue dragon's inheritance, this ancient city was already a huge treasure trove. There were many intact courtyards and shops, treasure inspection halls, auction halls, and alchemy rooms. There were also the noble clans that used to live here. Whoosh! Xiao Chun leaped off the Tao platform and transformed into a bolt of lightning as he shuttled through the ancient city. After choosing his target, he began to plunder. Restriction. As soon as they arrived before a house, Xiao Chun was speechless. There was actually a restriction here. It was another restriction. After much difficulty, he finally arrived at a majestic auction house. Looking around, he found another restriction. An hour later, Xiao Chun finally despaired. There were restrictions everywhere in the ancient city. It seemed that without passing the test of the dragon spirit, it would be impossible to obtain any other benefits in the ancient city. Never mind. Copying the 10,000 dragons picture and obtaining the 10,000 dragons art was already sufficient. Boom! When a mark on his forehead disappeared, Xiao Chun immediately felt a repulsive force in the ancient city. Walking and flying in the city was quite difficult, and his strength was also limited. Xiao Chun had no choice but to leave the city. As soon as he stepped out of the city gate, he saw that at the edge of the land of the blood moon, the sun had completely sunk into the golden ocean. In the end, Soul Reaper did not completely shatter it. The blazing giant managed to flee, and the golden armored army was nearly completely destroyed. When Xiao Chun looked around, the entire small world was in a state of devastation. Many pieces of land floated in the air, shattered. Terrifying, mysterious phenomena lingered in the surroundings. When Xiao Chun looked around, he saw nothing but desolation. This was no longer the small world that Xiao Chun was familiar with. Even the blood moon in the sky dimmed significantly. Xiao Chun personally saw the blazing sun and the blood moon crash, nearly causing the entire small world to crumble. Fragments formed by the afterglow of the blazing sun and the blood moon scattered in all directions, each containing a great destructive power. The battle between the blazing sun and the blood moon caused the small world to shatter. Rumble. After returning from a great victory, the desolate slave soul reaper led the other desolate slaves and the army of the dead to the Blue Dragon ancient city. Shao Chun temporarily avoided the clash and returned to the palace. He vaguely felt that the desolate slave soul reaper had glanced at him before entering the city. Egg, come. Tell us, what exactly did you encounter in the city? Upon seeing Shao Chun return, the black and white eggs felt incredibly excited and rushed over. Shao Chun hid the matter of the 10,000 dragons picture and told them everything else. There was no need to hide too much from these two puppets. After White Egg heard that, it guffawed. No wonder you have such a bitter expression. It turns out that you did not obtain anything. Ha! That's what I said. In the end, you're still too weak. It's not a good thing to go in early. If our master can go in, we'll have to go in. If our master could enter, he would be able to break the restrictions. Upon hearing that Shao Chun did not obtain anything, the black and white eggs gloated, giving Shao Chun a look of disdain. Had you known, you might as well have stayed here and collected the fragments that fell from the blood moon and the blazing sun. White Egg said softly with a smile. Fragments? Are these fragments valuable? Shao Chun felt somewhat confused. When the blazing sun and the blood moon clashed head-on, they had indeed scattered many fragments. Black Egg said in disdain, You are really stupid. When you fought with us, didn't you bring out a yin-yang flame diagram? That yin-yang flame diagram seems to be formed by yin and yang flames, looking very profound. The flames are also of high ranks, primal chaos level flames. Unfortunately, their quality is too low, just grade 4. If you can evolve that flame into an item, it would be incredible. Shao Chun's eyes lit up. Are you saying that the fragments of the blazing sun and the blood moon can raise the rank of my flame? That is natural, be it the blood moon in the sky or the golden blazing sun. They are formed by a secret technique using the essence of the sun and the moon in the real world. They took at least 1,000 years to form. The person who refined them is definitely a peak faux god. My master once said that the person who refined them should have entered the sun and the moon, stealing their cores. After White Egg finished speaking, it glanced at Shao Chun. Then, it asked indifferently, Do you think these fragments are valuable? Shao Chun looked around, and joy immediately appeared on his face. This was the remnant land of the great battle, filled with fragments of the blood moon and the blazing sun. It turned out that they were all worth cities. Whoosh! 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 After thanking Shao Chun, he stopped speaking and started to collect these fragments. Black Egg muttered to itself, This battle was really intense. Be it the blood moon or the blazing sun, their cores were damaged. They will need at least 500 years to recover their vitality. It is unfortunate for Bitchy Egg. He nearly killed Foolish Egg, but he failed at the last moment and let Foolish Egg escape. Haha. It is good that Foolish Egg ran away. Otherwise, the great show that happens once every few centuries would be over. The two of us would not have any excitement to watch. The black and white eggs chatted happily, not minding Shao Chun's departure at all. 3 days passed. Shao Chun collected all the fragments of the blazing sun and the blood moon in the entire small world. The total number of the two totaled more than 100,000. It was as the black and white eggs said. These fragments were indeed worth cities. The heavenly snow divine flame and the universe origin veritable essence energy advanced to rank 5 at the same time. The universe origin veritable flame was a heavenly flame, a primal chaos level flame that only the Tianwu dynasty's royal court disciples had the opportunity to grasp. There was a total of 9 grades of primal chaos level flames. After reaching rank 5, no one would say that Shao Chun's heavenly snow divine flame and universe origin veritable flame were too low in rank. With a thought, Shao Chun spread out his hands, and a strand of flame soared up from each of his palms. The flames continuously gathered. When they reached their limits, it looked like Shao Chun was holding a full moon and a sun in each of his hands. The benefits of absorbing these fragments were not only to upgrade the two types of flames to the 5th grade, but also to the 5th grade. The more profound thing was that they absorbed the mysteries of the blood moon and the blazing sun. When the heavenly snow divine flame and the universe origin veritable flame fully unfurled, they already had a vague form of the blazing sun and the blood moon. This was a pleasant surprise to Shao Chun. If these two flames rose to rank 9 one day, would he be able to control the sun and the moon at the same time? Then he would surpass Dragon Emperor Shao Yun and the mysterious person who fought Dragon Emperor Shao Yun. This thought only lasted for an instant. Shao Chun knew that he still had a long way to go. These two condensed the blood moon and the blazing sun, grasping a secret technique. Shao Chun did not have a secret technique. Unless he directly consumed the blood moon and blazing sun that the two refined, he would not be able to surpass them. Taiji Yin-Yang Flame Diagram. Shao Chun pushed out with both palms, using the Taiji Dao to push the heavenly snow divine flame and the universe origin veritable flame at the same time. Of the two flames, one was pale white and the other flickered with golden light. Both were the extremes of yin and yang. They chased after Shao Chun. Soon, a Taiji diagram materialized. Closely following that, the 4 divisions and 8 trigrams appeared around the Taiji diagram for the first time. Boom! In that instant, golden light spread out. The Taiji Yin-Yang Flame diagram soared into the sky, extending infinitely. Soon, this Taiji Yin-Yang Flame diagram filled the sky, covering half the sky of the small world. Shao Chun entered deep thought. The blue dragon seal in his soul pool, which represented the will of soul, flickered with light. The sun and moon shining together, mysterious phenomenon appeared. Shao Chun merged his soul mysterious phenomenon with the Taiji Yin-Yang Flame diagram in the sky. Surging soul energy continuously poured into the Taiji Yin-Yang Flame diagram. Whoosh! 4 hours later, the Taiji Yin-Yang Flame diagram in the sky completely turned solid. Shao Chun stretched out his hand, and the Taiji Yin-Yang Flame diagram gathered together, forming a simple and unadorned painting in Shao Chun's hand. Interesting. I should have thought of infusing my soul energy into the Taiji Yin-Yang Flame diagram long ago. Shao Chun muttered to himself. The mysterious phenomenon before him pleasantly surprised him. Although Shao Chun said that his soul energy did not show any abnormalities. The heavenly snow divine flame and the universe origin veritable flame had not reached rank 5. If Shao Chun rashly formed them, he might not be able to produce such a scene. Shao Chun gently unfurled the painting in his hand, and a simple and exquisite Taiji Yin-Yang Flame diagram appeared before him. The background of the Taiji Yin-Yang Flame diagram was a deep starry heavens. There was no flickering starlight, only a blurry blood moon in the pitch-black starry heavens. With a thought, the painting became like water, merging into Shao Chun's physical body. Since then, the Taiji Yin-Yang Flame diagram had undergone a qualitative change. Even if it was a sovereign emperor's strike, Shao Chun was confident that he could block it with the Taiji Yin-Yang Flame diagram. It is time to leave. If not for the golden armored army attacking, Shao Chun would have left already. He had already wasted too much time. This time he had to leave. After a simple farewell to the black and white eggs, Shao Chun's physical body turned into flowing ice and soared into the sky. The blood moon dimmed. Compared to before, its might and pressure were much weaker. After executing the heaven dragon's body, Shao Chun, who had turned into ice, successfully entered the blood moon. Then he revealed himself. However, he did not rush to leave like the previous generation heaven dragon did. Instead, Shao Chun took out the divine universe steel. Then he formed a hand seal with his right hand, and scriptures appeared on the divine universe steel. When all of them appeared, mysterious energy radiated from the divine universe steel again. As the divine universe steel radiated, scarlet talisman scripts flew over from the surroundings and entered the steel. When Xiao Chun sensed a blood moon appear on the Tao platform in the Divine Universe steel, he stopped. Then, he put away the Divine Universe steel and started to look around, searching for a way out of this hazy, chaotic Scarlet World. 1 hour later, Xiao Chun followed the previous generation Heaven Dragon's method and successfully triggered the spatial tunnel hidden in the Blood Moon. Xiao Chen's body immediately shot upward uncontrollably. He moved more than 100 times faster than Xiao Chen's movement technique. Xiao Chen's surroundings spun around. Time and space turned blurry. He could not distinguish the east, south, or north. When Xiao Chun startled to his senses, he felt himself rapidly falling to the ground. When Xiao Chun looked around, the night sky was hazy and sinister, giving off a cold chi. This startled Xiao Chun slightly. This was a familiar, yet strange feeling. This was the night of the desolate sea. When Xiao Chun looked up, he saw a blood moon several times larger than the small world above. The blood moon hung in the sky, looking like he could touch it if he stretched out his hand. An extremely realistic misconception appeared in Xiao Chen's heart. He felt like he was falling from the blood moon. Chapter 2077. Whoosh! Xiao Chun gently pushed off the air and looked around. What is this place? Xiao Chun was certain that this was the desolate sea. However, he did not know where in the desolate sea was. Xiao Chun felt that his surroundings were somewhat familiar, but most of them were unfamiliar. There was a small city about 500,000 kilometers in front. It was not large. Rather than a city, it was more like a town. Such a small city was rare in the desolate sea. Azure Mountain? Wait a minute. Xiao Chun extended out his spiritual sense and discovered a familiar peak. After not seeing it for 4 years, the Azure Mountain looked the same, unchanged. Xiao Chun thought for a while. It looked like the small village in the past had turned into a city. No wonder Xiao Chun found it both familiar and strange. After landing firmly, Xiao Chun was in a good mood. After being trapped for 4 years, he finally managed to get out. The small village in the past had turned into a city. It looked like it was developing pretty well. With the peach blossom Sovereign Emperor's promise, no one dared to make a move. It made sense that the place gradually developed. Someone is here. Furthermore, it is a sovereign personage. Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly. In an instant, he brought out the Azure Dragon body and transformed his physical body. His physical body turned illusory, turning into ice and silently retreating, vanishing into the night. After a while, 2 figures descended from the sky. One of them wore black and looked older. He exuded a faint demonic chi. Xiao Chun recognized this aura. This person cultivated the demonic cultivation technique of the Heavenly Slaughter sect, one of the 6 demonic Tao sections. The other person was a middle-aged man in scarlet robes, exuding an air of nobility. He did not look like someone from the Heavenly Slaughter sect. It has been almost 4 years, and you still have not completed the mission that the 8th Prince gave you. Elder son, I don't know what you are doing. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man scolded with a cold expression after the 2 landed. The black-clad old man said helplessly, "It is not that this old man is useless." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor promised that no one in the desolate sea would openly make a move on this Azure Mountain town. That Qin Zhuolin has not left in secret, so there is no chance to make a move. Humph! You can't even do such a small thing, yet you are finding so many excuses. You have disappointed the 8th Prince. The 8th Prince has lost his patience. No matter what method you use, you must finish it tonight. The scarlet-clothed, middle-aged man snorted coldly. He looked at the black-clothed man with an expressionless face and said, "Do as you see fit. I've come here this time. If I let the 8th Prince do it himself, then there's no need for you to exist." The black-clothed old man hurriedly said, "Your Excellency, you can't be like this. And I saw it when we entered the city. I won't even have the chance to attack. Once I do, I'll definitely be exposed." The middle-aged man in blood-red clothes said, "It doesn't matter even if it's exposed. How could it be possible to achieve great things without paying a price? At that time, I will delay Qin Zhuolin while you make your move." If you are exposed, just find a scapegoat in the Heavenly Slaughter sect to apologize to the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. What's more, we're not really going to attack Qingshan City, so it's not too much. The black-robed old man had a conflicted look on his face. Clearly, he was very hesitant. There were almost no experts in Green Mountain City. Only Qin Zhuolin presided over this place. However, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor personally promised to protect this place. Making a move in the city would be like slapping the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's face. This scarlet-clad, middle-aged man had a deep background and a terrifying origin. He did not fear the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor, but Xiao Chun could not do so. However, offending the Eighth Prince would not end well. Most importantly, if Xiao Chun succeeded, the benefits he would gain would be startling. After thinking for a long time, the black-robed old man made up his mind. He said, "All right, tonight it is. However," my lord said at first, "once I'm exposed, you have to protect me. Don't worry. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor wants face as well. At that time, I'll bring a scapegoat to apologize and take the initiative to admit my mistake. Will he kill me with one slap? I'm not really going to destroy this Qingshan City. All right, let's do it then." After the two made up their minds, they no longer hesitated. After discussing the details, they flew towards Qingshan City again. Whoosh! When the two of them were far away, a wisp of cold light silently appeared in the pitch-black night sky like a stream of light. Xiao Chun frowned slightly. Why are these two going to Blue Dragon City? The black-robed old man was a small perfection sovereign personage. Coincidentally, Xiao Chun had met this old man before. Back when Xiao Chun was destroying the nearby Heavenly Slaughter sect strongholds, the most dangerous experience he had had was when 3 sovereign personages surrounded him. This old man had been one of them. However, this old man was not worth mentioning before Xiao Chun now. What Xiao Chun paid some attention to was the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. For a small perfection sovereign personage, Heavenly Slaughter sect elder, to be so respectful before this scarlet-clad man, this person had to have a great background. The Heavenly Slaughter sect is really persistent. Since I ran into them, they can forget about causing trouble for me. A murderous intent flashed on Xiao Chun's calm face. Xiao Chun did not have a good impression of the Heavenly Slaughter sect at all. For years ago, Xiao Chun had used his late-stage Holy Venerate cultivation to destroy all 88 nearby Heavenly Slaughter sect strongholds. Xiao Chun already knew what kind of people these people were. They would do anything to achieve their goals. They raised bandits to do evil, not letting off the elderly, women, and children. For the sake of cultivating a demonic Tao cultivation technique, they even reared children devoid of conscience and humanity. Xiao Chun hid his aura and quietly followed. When Xiao Chun got close to Azure Mountain Town, he was surprised to discover that this tiny city had a defensive formation. This should be Qin Zhuolin's handiwork. This person was a good friend. Even though Xiao Chun thought that he was dead, he still helped him guard Azure Mountain Town until now. However, this defensive formation mainly targeted desolate slaves and other foul things that came out at night. It did not have much effect on sovereign personages. With the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's promise, normally, no one would come here to cause trouble. Under the moonlight, the residents of the small city had already fallen asleep. The entire town appeared quiet and peaceful. As Xiao Chun followed the two into the city, he saw the two say something to each other after entering the city. Then, they went their separate ways. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chun made up his mind to follow the black-clad old man. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man should be going to find Qin Zhuolin. Given Xiao Chun's understanding of Qin Zhuolin, even if Qin Zhuolin was not a match for this scarlet-clad man, his life would not be in any danger. Even now, Xiao Chun found Qin Zhuolin somewhat mysterious and unfathomable. It was already late at night, and the city was pitch dark. The lights of the various clans had already been extinguished long ago. Only a rather tall pavilion still had lights burning. This was Qin Zhuolin's residence. Qin Zhuolin and Sang drank in the pavilion, casually chatting. This Azure Mountain town had developed under these two's watch. After a few years, their friendship had deepened significantly. Qin Zhuolin drained the wine in his cup in one go. Then he asked softly, saying, "Are you sure that Xiao Chun is still alive?" Sang nodded and said, "You asked me many times already. I'm very sure that he is not dead." The propping mulberry tree was still in the divine universe steel. Through this faint connection, Sang could sense some of Xiao Chen's aura. Sang was very sure that Xiao Chun was not dead. However, Sang had no idea where he was. Qin Zhuolin had not had a good time in the past 4 years. He regretted his decision back then. He should not have let Xiao Chen follow him down. The heavenly Tao-killing formation prevented Qin Zhuolin from bringing out his previous experience and strength. In the end, Qin Zhuolin walked out alone. Even after 4 years, there was no news of Xiao Chun. It was hard not to feel guilty and unable to forgive himself. No matter what, this fellow should have come out after 4 years. Qin Zhuolin muttered to himself. If it were him, he would have gone crazy after being trapped for 4 years. Even if he did not die, being trapped and unable to come out was also a form of torture. Suddenly, Qin Zhuolin's and Sang's expressions changed at the same time. Qin Zhuolin said indifferently, "Come out. Stop hiding." "Huh." Light flickered, and the lanterns in the pavilion flickered. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man appeared out of nowhere. He looked at Qin Zhuolin and said, "You truly deserve to be the only successor of the Heavenly Dipper Gate. I just arrived, and young Master Qin already discovered me." The Shuwu dynasty's people? When Qin Zhuolin saw the scarlet-clad man, he felt slightly startled. Then he mocked, "Interesting. To think that a desolate place like Azure Mountain Town would attract the people of the Shuwu dynasty's royal court." At the same time, Qin Zhuolin sent a voice projection to Sang. "This fellow might have companions. Go out and take a look. I'll deal with him." "Right," Sang replied, and prepared to leave silently. "Ha! Stay behind. Don't think about leaving." The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man laughed maniacally. Then he waved his hand, and a wriggling clump of blood formed a barrier, isolating this space. When Sang punched the barrier, the viscous blood barrier squirmed slowly. It felt like he punched cotton, powerless. "My filthy blood barrier has already reached the 6th layer. Even a peak sovereign personage might not be able to break it. The two of you should just give up. Stay here and chat with me. If you have a good attitude, I will not attack you," the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man said with a faint smile. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man revealed a confident expression as he smiled faintly. Chapter 2078. Inside the filthy blood barrier, the expressions of Qin Zhuolin and Sang changed. "Attack." The two exchanged glances and immediately made up their minds, charging at the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man at the same time. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man smiled coldly and said, "No one is a match for me in my filthy blood barrier. The two of you are seeking death." An intense battle quickly unfolded in the filthy blood barrier. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man was a great perfection sovereign personage in the first place, far superior to Qin Zhuolin's and Sang's. Hence, he held a significant advantage in the filthy blood barrier. However, Qin Zhuolin and Sang were not as simple as they appeared. One was a mysterious and unfathomable geomaster, and the other was a being born in the propping mulberry tree. When the two worked together, they were not at a disadvantage. This startled the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. However, his expression did not change, not changing at all. Taking down these two would indeed require a lot of effort, more difficult than expected. However, as long as Xiao Chun followed the original plan and delayed these two, he could leave smoothly after Elder Sun was done. There was no need to worry too much. On the other side, Xiao Chun followed the black-clad old man, moving stealthily through Azure Mountain Town. Azure Mountain Town was not large. Soon, the black-clad old man stopped in front of a residence. "That is..." Xiao Chun frowned slightly. Afraid of alerting the enemy, he did not dare to use his spiritual sense rashly. However, he vaguely guessed something. These two were here for the extreme body, Qing Chun. Xiao Chun already knew 4 years ago that the Heavenly Slaughter Sect was in the Desolate Sea working for the 8th Prince. Most of the young girls that the 8th prince had plundered were given to the Blood Moon dynasty. Bang! The black-clad old man shouted coldly without any expression on his face as he suddenly attacked. The house in front silently crumbled to dust, causing the young girl and the little boy who lived in it to feel horrified. After not seeing Qing Chun for 4 years, she had grown significantly taller. The little boy should be her younger brother. Elder sister. The little boy cried out in fear as he hid behind Qing Chun. Qing Chun showed a nervous expression, but she still shielded her younger brother. She shouted, "Who are you? Quickly leave this place." Azure Mountain Town is protected by the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. The black-clad old man smiled and said, "Of course, I know that this lousy place is protected by the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. Otherwise, I would have brought you away 3 years ago." Under the moonlight, Qing Chun looked incredibly delicate. Her eyes flickered with a bright light. Qing Chun's delicate body gave off a cold and aloof air. Right now, even if Qing Chun was an ordinary person, one could tell that she had an extraordinary air. As expected of the extreme Yin body, it's a pity that the 8th prince has taken a fancy to you. Come with me. Greed flashed in the black-clad old man's eyes. He stepped forward, wanting to take Qing Chun away. "Old son, I dare you to take another step forward." Just at this moment, the black-clothed old man suddenly heard a chilling voice coming from behind him. The bone-chilling killing intent instantly pierced into their bodies, causing them to feel as though they had fallen into an ice cave, their bodies turning cold. The black-robed old man was scared witless. Who was it that had silently appeared behind him, and he had no reaction at all? "Who are you?" "I am an outer sect elder of the Heavenly Fiend sect." At the crucial moment, the black-robed old man used the name of the Heavenly Fiend sect to protect himself. In the desolate sea, the Heavenly Fiend sect was rather famous. Not just anyone dared to offend a rank 7 sect of the 6 demonic Tao Great Sections. Unfortunately, the one that the black-robed old man ran into was Xiao Chun. "Who am I? Just turn around, and you will see." The black-robed old man turned around somewhat nervously. When he looked up, he saw a white-clad youth with delicate features. Under the moonlight, he gave off an extraordinary air, looking like he was shining with bright light. Even the night could not hide his sharpness. Xiao Chun. The black-robed old man had interacted with Xiao Chun before. Back then, Xiao Chun had nearly died at his hands. However, there had been no news of Xiao Chun in the past 4 years. Rumor had it that Xiao Chun had either been killed by the Dragon God Crown Prince Qin Mu or the Hound Lion Empire's Crown Prince, Xiahou Wu. In any case, Xiao Chun was a dead man. When the black-robed old man saw the other party suddenly appear before him, he was startled. "Run." The other party was only a small perfection sovereign personage, the same cultivation as the black-robed old man. However, the pressure that he brought was nearly suffocating. The black-robed old man did not even think. His figure flashed, and he soared into the air, wanting to merge into the night and take the opportunity to flee. "You think you can leave?" Xiao Chun smiled coldly, and a candle dragon image appeared behind him. Then 2 candle flames lit up in his eyes. Whoosh! 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 An icy flame instantly burned the black-robed old man in the air, causing him to cry out in pain. It was not just his physical body. A strange cold flame even ignited his soul at this moment. The black-robed old man stumbled and fell to the ground. Before the black-robed old man could extinguish the flame on his body, Xiao Chun waved his hand and used Firmament's rage to grab his neck. "Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I was just following orders. I am an outer sect elder of the Heavenly Slaughter sect. If you kill me, you will have an irreconcilable enmity with the Heavenly Slaughter sect." The horrifying great desolate Ian ancestor dragon's rage encased the black-robed old man, and boundless saber chi assaulted his entire body. As long as the black-robed old man dared to act rashly, Xiao Chun could easily destroy him with just a thought. Now, Xiao Chun could finally control Firmament's rage as he pleased, reaching the level of the first palace master back then. The boundless rage could shake the surroundings and shake the sky. However, when Xiao Qian executed it, he did so effortlessly and effortlessly. It's too late. From the moment he stepped into Azure Mountain Town, Xiao Qian had already sentenced this person to death in his heart. Xiao Qian took Firmament's rage a step further. The five-element divine lightning infused into his palm, and a small world made of lightning and saber chi immediately formed in his palm. Xiao Qian instantly grasped the black-robed old man in his palm. He ferociously clenched his fist. When he opened his hand, blood shot out together with the saber intent and lightning in the air. The black-robed old man died without a complete corpse. Whoosh! Xiao Qian's figure flashed, and he arrived beside Qing Chun and her younger brother. Qing Chen's eyes brimmed with tears as she asked in disbelief, "Big brother, is that you?" Xiao Qian smiled faintly. His appearance had changed significantly. Qing Chun, who was already a young girl, was still the same as before. Qing Chen's eyes would brim with tears at the slightest provocation. However, she would always stand before her younger brother. Xiao Qian nodded and said, "It's me. I'm back." Qing Chun smiled between tears and said, "Big brother, you finally returned. Many people said that you would not return. Little Qing Chun felt that you would definitely return, just like 4 years ago. No matter how long I waited, you would return." For years ago, Xiao Chun had destroyed the Heavenly Slaughter Sect's 88 strongholds near Peach Blossom City alone. At that time, many people felt that Xiao Chun would not return. Only Qing Chun persisted in waiting for Xiao Chun. "Don't cry. Bring your younger brother to find Grandpa 7 first and settle him down. I still have something to do," Xiao Chun said softly after consoling Qing Chun for a while. "Right? Little Qing Chun will listen to Big Brother." Qing Chun turned her head and glanced at Xiao Chun. Then, she quickly led her younger brother to Grandpa 7's residence. Xiao Chun sighed softly. As someone with an extreme body, it was practically impossible for her to live an ordinary life. Xiao Chun looked around and fixed his gaze on the pavilion in the distance. Then his eyes slowly turned cold. At this moment, the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man in the pavilion became increasingly relaxed against Qin Zhuolin and Sang. As time passed, the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man slowly revealed his advantage in the filthy blood barrier. Qin Zhuolin and Sang attacked a few times, but failed to break the filthy blood barrier. Instead, they gave it to the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. "Just give up. You have no chance of defeating me in the filthy blood barrier. I'm already very restrained. If I want to, I can kill you at any time." The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man smiled coldly after knocking back Sang and Qin Zhuolin again. "Damn it. This filthy blood barrier suppresses us too much. It completely cuts off the spiritual energy of the outside world. On the other hand, he can obtain endless energy from the filthy blood barrier," Sang said somewhat helplessly. Right now, he was already a small perfection sovereign personage. His strength was no weaker than that of an ordinary great perfection sovereign personage. Qin Zhuolin was even more so. 4 years ago, he was already a small perfection sovereign personage and grasped many secret techniques. When the two worked together, they did not fear any great perfection sovereign personage. However, this filthy blood barrier made it extremely difficult for the two to deal with the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. Bang! The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man threw another palm strike. Boundless energy immediately surged over, making the might of his palm strike look like a vast sea with boundless momentum. Blood leaked out of Qin Zhuolin's and Sang's mouths as they crashed into the barrier wall. "I am unrivaled in the filthy blood barrier." The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man showed a cocky expression as he laughed loudly. He continuously unleashed the aura of a great perfection sovereign personage, making Sang and Qin Zhuolin feel even more uncomfortable. "Is that so? Why don't I think so?" Just at this moment, an uncoordinated figure came from the filthy blood barrier. Xiao Qian's figure suddenly appeared before the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. This startled the other party. "Who are you? How did you get in?" "You don't have to care about that. Marshall and Soul, as one. Xiao Qian's will of soul merged with his martial Tao as he coldly swung his saber with a cold expression. The resplendent saber light immediately made the filthy blood barrier lose its dazzling scarlet light, leaving only black and white. Bang! The filthy blood barrier instantly shattered, and the saber in Xiao Qian's hand pierced into the other party's chest. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man vomited a mouthful of blood as he did his best to block, not letting Xiao Qian's saber go any deeper. He blocked it? Xiao Qian found this slightly strange. At such a close distance, the other party actually blocked his martial and soul as one saber strike. That made sense. After all, the other party was a great perfection sovereign personage. If he could not even block one saber strike from Xiao Qian, he would be too weak. Blood Shadow Demonic Claw. Die. When the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man felt Xiao Qian's attack pause, he became enraged and attacked ferociously. The might of a dynasty burst forth from his body. His eyes turned blood red, and his golden pupils looked like crescent moons. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man's right hand instantly turned into a demonic claw that rivaled a great desolate Aeon ferocious beasts. It erupted with a demonic might that rivaled that of a great desolate Aeon ferocious beast, wanting to tear Xiao Qian into pieces. You think that this is my peak strike? In that case, you are wrong. I was just warming up. Flawless saber Dao, using the heart as a saber. Xiao Qian quickly pulled out the tyrant saber from the other party's chest, bringing out his saber great Dao to its limits. Saber light shone all over Xiao Qian's body. The boundless saber aura gathered on the saber. The saber light was like the moon, and the saber images were like the wind. Just as the terrifying demonic claw was about to grab him, Xiao Qian poked hundreds of holes in the other party's body. Pussy-eye. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man vomited a mouthful of blood, and the blood shadow demonic claw crumbled on its own. The rebound worsened his injuries. Martial and soul as one. Horror flashed in the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man's eyes as he looked at Xiao Qian. To think that Xiao Qian used martial and soul as one. Legend had it that even sovereign emperors found it hard to achieve. Blood shadow demonic evasion. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man roared and suddenly self-detonated, turning into thousands of scarlet lines that scattered in all directions. This was the Blood Shadow Dynasty's secret technique. As long as one scarlet line managed to escape, one could survive. However, once one executed this secret technique, one would have to suffer extremely terrifying consequences. Unless absolutely necessary, no one would use it. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man thought that he would only execute this secret technique when he ran into a sovereign emperor. Unexpectedly, a small perfection sovereign personage forced him into such a state. However, if the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man knew what Xiao Qian was thinking, he would definitely go crazy. Xiao Qian wondered if he should give chase. That was right. Even if the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man executed the blood shadow demonic evasion, Xiao Qian still had ways to chase after him. It would just be somewhat problematic. Chapter 2079. To chase or not to chase? Xiao Qian hesitated for only 1 second before making his decision. Chase. Under the blood moon, Xiao Qian soared into the air. At this moment, he unleashed his veritable essence energy, soul energy, and 3 great Dao without holding anything back. Flawless Dao, using the body as a saber. Xiao Qian incorporated the Ice Dao and the Thunder Dao into his flawless saber Dao and materialized them. Under the huge blood moon, the white-clad Xiao Qian brandished the tyrant saber and danced wildly under the moonlight. At this moment, Xiao Qian was like a flower bud bathed in moonlight, waiting to bloom. In the next moment, the petals bloomed, and boundless resplendent saber lights burst out. Countless mysterious phenomena appeared at the same time. The blood moon in the sky instantly paled in comparison. Strands of saber lights burst out of Xiao Qian's body. Be it his fine black hair or his white robes, they could all be used as sabers at this moment. Whoosh! Thousands of saber lights burst out under the blood moon. Xiao Qian continuously chopped apart strands of bloodlines. Sharp, miserable shrieks echoed in the cold night. The blood shadow demonic evasion was an escape technique that only the Shuwu dynasty's royal clan grasped. However, at this moment, Shao Chun used the most intense method to break it. No matter how many clones you have, I have one saber. I can send out thousands of saber lights. Break, break, break. Shao Chun chopped off a total of 9,000 bloodlines. When only 10 remained, the bloodlines mended. Before the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man could escape Azure Mountain Town, he vomited a mouthful of blood. His complexion paled as he appeared. If he had not appeared, Shao Chun would have killed him, not even leaving a corpse. You're out? Shao Chun's lips curled up in a smile as he ferociously tossed out the saber in his hand. Whoosh, whoosh. The perfectly straight tyrant saber, which was 2 fingers wide and 1 meter long, spun continuously as it flew towards the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. The purple saber flickered with moonlight as it flew over, kicking up a strong wind. The tyrant saber did not fly very fast. Logically speaking, the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man should have been able to dodge easily. However, the middle-aged man's face was ashen, and his eyes were filled with helplessness. In despair, Shao Chun discovered that the aura carried by the saber had already suppressed him. It was like a mountain pressing down on him. No, it was even more terrifying than a mountain pressing down on him. Even the towering mountains could not withstand a single blow from the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. He could shatter them with a single punch. The aura of the tyrant's saber was incomparably sharp, mercilessly shattering the remnant aura in Shao Chun's body. His aura was like a vast ocean, bringing with it endless power, completely suppressing him. Shao Chun could only watch helplessly as the tyrant's saber flew towards him. A bona fide, great perfection sovereign personage ended up like this. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man felt boundless sorrow in his heart. Below, the somewhat stunned Qin Zhuolin startled awake. He said, Shao Chun, don't kill this person yet. Pucci. With Qin Zhuolin's size, the tyrant's saber, which should have shredded the scarlet shadow, middle-aged man's body, did not last long. However, the tyrant's saber stabbed the scarlet shadow, middle-aged man's chest, and pinned him to the ground. After gently landing, Shao Chun looked at Sang and Qin Zhuolin. The 3 exchanged glances, sighing in their hearts. Sang kept saying that you were fine. Now, I finally believe him. With your strength, I no longer have to feel guilty. Qin Zhuolin heaved a sigh of relief. He had often blamed himself over the past 4 years. Now that Shao Chun appeared and suppressed a great perfection sovereign personage, he would definitely gain a great fortuitous encounter. This was a blessing in disguise. Although Shao Chun did not feel jealous, he could not help feeling some envy. Sang pointed to the front and said, Let's catch up later. Let's see what exactly this fellow is here for. Right? Shao Chun nodded. The 3 pushed off with their feet and arrived beside the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man in a few leaps. Upon seeing the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man pinned to the ground by the tyrant's saber, unable to move, Shao Chun felt gratified. Earlier, Shao Chun brandished his saber under the blood moon. In reality, Shao Chun had already used his full power, not holding anything back. If he still could not hold this scarlet-clad, middle-aged man back, then his 4 years of bitter cultivation would have been for nothing. In the end, Shao Chun materialized his flawless saber Dao because he discovered a flaw in his saber Dao. Some of the things that he once did not care about and threw away became shackles on him. Shao Chun needed to fix this flaw before he could advance his saber great Dao to a Dao domain. Otherwise, he might not be able to advance further. Brother Qin, why can't we kill this person? Shao Chun asked softly. Qin Zhuolin explained. He is a member of the Shuwu dynasty's royal clan. We cannot casually offend the Shuwu dynasty. It is a faction even more terrifying than the 6 great demonic Dao sections. The Shuwu dynasty dominated the lower regions of the central Great Realm, ruling over all the demonic Dao factions in the world. Alone, it clashed with the 3 dynasties and the 8 great empires. Just this point alone showed how strong the Shuwu dynasty was. However, Xiaochen already knew about this. He smiled and said, "So that's why. I already knew before I came. He is the 8th prince's man. However, he is clearly just a sacrificial pawn. Otherwise, the 8th prince would not have left the matter of offending the Peach Blossom sovereign emperor to him. If we kill him, so be it. There is no value in that." The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man, who had been listening carefully, panicked when he heard that. This matter concerned his life and death, so he had a rush. He quickly said, "Don't kill me. I am the 8th prince's trusted subordinate. Spare my life. The 8th prince will definitely come and save me. At that time, you can obtain benefits from the 8th prince." Xiaochen stepped forward and drew his tyrant saber, causing the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man to scream in pain. "Brother Qin, what do you think?" Qin Zhuolin thought for a while before saying, "Since the 8th prince sent him, if he dies, the 8th prince will definitely guess that we did it. No matter what, we will offend the 8th prince. We might as well spare his life and let the 8th prince pay a price to take him away. At least, we can make use of trash." Xiaochen thought about it and agreed. The 8th prince wanted Qin Chun. No matter what, Xiaochen would not give her to him. Whether Xiaochen killed the other party or not, he would offend the 8th prince. Qin Zhuolin was right. Just make use of trash. When the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man heard that, he felt like vomiting blood. "What do you mean, make use of trash? To think that I, a bona fide, great perfection sovereign personage, am treated like trash to survive? Damn it, don't give me an opportunity. I will definitely make you pay tenfold." However, when the scarlet-clad man thought about it, he recalled that this white-clad man comprehended martial in soul as one at such a young age. Even as a small perfection sovereign personage, he could defeat the scarlet-clad man. How could he have a chance to take revenge in the future? Such strength was already no weaker than the 8th prince's. "What are you thinking about?" Xiaochen watched as the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man fell to the ground, his eyes still darting around. Xiaochen ruthlessly smacked the scarlet-clad man's face with his scabbard. Then, he quickly left a seal in the scarlet-clad man's body, restricting his soul energy and veritable essence energy, turning him into a cripple. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man cried out in pain. The pain was unbearable, so he quickly collected his thoughts and stopped thinking. Lock him up first. Send news of his capture to the Shuo dynasty's 8th prince. If he does not come in half a month, kill him. Xiaochen's casual words determined the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man's fate. Half a month? That is impossible. When the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man heard that, he wanted to say something. However, before he could speak, Sang knocked him out. Qin Zhuolin said, "Xiaochen, you seem to know why these two are here?" Xiaochen nodded and said, "They are here for the extreme in body. The demonic Dao cultivation technique that the 8th prince cultivates requires a large number of young girls. An extreme in body is a boundless temptation for him." Extreme in body? This is somewhat difficult. If no major faction takes him in, something will happen to him sooner or later. Neither of us can protect him, Qin Zhuolin said seriously, feeling slightly startled when he heard that. "It's fine. I already thought of the arrangements." "It's good that you thought of it. Tell us, how did you spend the past 4 years?" Qin Zhuolin asked out of curiosity. Xiaochen revealed a rueful expression. "My experiences in the past 4 years are hard to describe in a few words." It was indeed hard to describe in a few words. For 2 years, Xiaochen got beaten up by 2 venomous puppets. He nearly lost his martial Dao heart. These were memories that Xiaochen could not forget for the rest of his life. After 2 years, Xiaochen worked hard to catch up. Only then did he regain his confidence in his martial Dao heart. Xiaochen hid some of his experiences from the Blue Dragon Ancient City and the Golden Armored Army. He only talked about the black and white eggs and the palace that their master left behind. Ha ha ha. To think that there are such amusing puppets. I have to see them when I have a chance. Qin Zhuolin could not help laughing after hearing that. After chatting until dawn, the two took their leave, letting Xiaochen rest alone. After 4 years, Xiaochen finally had some free time to relax. However, Xiaochen did not truly rest. He spent this time in his storage ring, searching for the secret treasure that the dragon spirit mentioned. The storage ring was very messy, containing all sorts of things. There was a large pile of things in the Kunlun realm alone. After arriving at the Great Thousand Realms, there were even more. After tidying up the storage ring, Xiao Chun actually discovered some treasures that he had not noticed before. Although they were useless to Xiao Chun, he could make some money if he sold them. Right now, Xiao Chun lacked resources. Every bit he could get counted as a sum. However, even after searching for more than 4 hours, he still did not find what he was looking for. What kind of secret treasure can help me bring out the state of cycle? Just as Xiao Chun felt somewhat frustrated, he took out a simple and unadorned bronze mirror. Xiao Chun's eyes lit up. 3-life mirror? Chapter 2080. The 3-life mirror. The moment Xiao Chun saw the 3-life mirror, he was stunned for a long time. He had truly forgotten about this treasure. Since Little 3, the item spirit, forcibly stopped time in the Kunlun realm, it had been in a deep sleep. The 3-life mirror could see the past and the future, controlling time. It was a legendary, powerful, immortal equipment. The secret treasure that the dragon spirit mentioned should be this 3-life mirror. It could see the past, the present, and the future, as well as control time, perfectly compatible with the state of cycle. However, even Little 3, the item spirit, found it extremely difficult to use. Now, that Little 3 was still in a deep sleep. Could Xiao Chun rely on this secret treasure? Xiao Chun frowned slightly and sent a strand of spiritual sense into the 3-life mirror. The world in the mirror. Little 3 lay quietly amid the clouds, like an immortal realm. Xiao Chun could use this ancient mirror. Before Little 3 fell into a deep sleep, it had passed the control over the ancient mirror to him. Xiao Chun would be forced to use it. The time Dao was very dangerous. Xiao Chun had experienced it firsthand. Little 3 before him was a very good example. Xiao Chun withdrew his spiritual sense, and the 3-life mirror floated before him. Then he entered deep thought. It was somewhat unrealistic to directly bring out the 3-life mirror. He could use the 3-life mirror as a supplement to bring out the state of cycle. However, that might not be impossible. As for the risks involved, Xiao Chun would have to consider them carefully. Inside the room, Xiao Chun paced back and forth, entering deep thought. If he could bring out his strongest state of cycle in the Great Thousand Realms, it would have far-reaching implications. It would be even more terrifying than practicing the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. After all, no matter how strong the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique was, it was still a martial technique comprehended by others. However, the state of cycle was something that Xiao Chun comprehended himself. The two were completely different concepts. However, if he failed, the consequences, spatial energy could tear apart Xiao Chun's divine body, which had just awakened once. One more time energy. To fight or not to fight? Fight! Xiao Chun stretched out his hand and grasped the 3-life mirror. How many years had it been? He had walked this path. After experiencing life and death countless times, he was already used to it. This heart did not fear challenges. Xiao Chun did not hesitate to do it. Master, let me out to play for a while. Just at this moment, the demon blood vulture's voice rang out in Xiao Chun's mind. Just like him, he had been trapped in the land of the blood moon for 4 years. Although he didn't have many fortuitous encounters like him. However, the land of the blood moon had no light all year round. It was filled with a demonic cold chi that was endless. The demon blood vulture had reached great perfection, sovereign personage, even stronger than Xiao Chun. The yin chi in the land of the blood moon was too heavy, but the spiritual energy was insufficient. Xiao Chun did not have any resources either, so he could only be his sovereign personage for now. After releasing the demon blood vulture, Xiao Chun started experimenting alone in the courtyard. Xiao, the 3-life mirror turned into a bright light and fused into Xiao Chun's body. His flesh, blood, soul, and quintessence began to fuse with the 3-life mirror. The fusion process was quite smooth. Around Xiao Chun, time and space fluctuated. Many things that had happened in the past turned into countless scrolls that appeared in all directions. The memories of the past gathered together. At this moment, time seemed like flowing water, gently flowing before Xiao Chen's eyes. The previous experiences, which represented Xiao Chen's past, turned into flowing light and entered his body. Time was merciless. Back then, Xiao Chen had also been young and inexperienced. In the blink of an eye, so many years had passed. The past had already happened, and the future was unfathomable. The scenes representing Xiao Chen's future appeared. They were all hazy, unfathomable, and unfathomable. Xiao Chen did not want to see them, either. He always believed that man could conquer nature and that the future was limitless. When the light representing the future entered his body, the past, future, and present, the three-life mirror, completely merged with Xiao Chen. At the same time, 7 beams of light came out from behind Xiao Chen. Those were the 7 colored lights representing the state of cycle. Whether Xiao Chen could gather them and merge them into one, bringing out the true state of cycle, would depend on this moment. Condense. Xiao Chen shouted, and the 7 colored lights started to slowly merge. He felt an incredibly strong resistance. In the Great Thousand Realms, the structure of space and time was completely different from that of the Kunlun realm. It was not that Xiao Chen had not tried it before. However, it was completely ineffective, so he gave up. Today, Xiao Chen merged with the three-life mirror and tried again. If he still failed, there would be no hope of reappearing the state of cycle. The three-life mirror in Xiao Chen's body released a resplendent light, silently radiating out from his body. While the exterior did not look any different, Xiao Chen vaguely felt that the resistance to the 7 colored lights merging had decreased significantly. With a burst of energy, he let out a roar. The 7 colored lights instantly merged into one. Seizing this opportunity, Xiao Chen used his soul energy and veritable essence energy to drive the state of cycle at the same time. The cycle Tao reversing time. Immediately, an even stronger resistance than before appeared in front of Xiao Chen. It was like he was going against the entire world. Every step he took was incredibly difficult. Kassier. Kassier. Halfway through, cracks appeared on Xiao Chen's body, and blood seeped out. This was forcefully reversing time. The price that his physical body had to bear was several times greater than what he faced in the Kunlun realm. Xiao Chen could no longer pull back the foot he took. At this moment, aside from withstanding the pressure and continuing forward, there was nothing he could do. The world before Xiao Chen already turned blurry. Half of his body had already entered the time tunnel. Space-time storms filled the surroundings. If he made any mistakes, his bones would shatter and his soul would scatter. I'll risk it. Just as his physical body could no longer endure, a spiritual light encased Xiao Chen. It was the three-life mirror. The three-life mirror reflects 3 lives, seeing through karma and reincarnation. It illuminates one's heart for generations to come, reversing the past and the future. An ethereal immortal art appeared in Xiao Chen's mind, and the world before him slowly turned clear. What appeared before Xiao Chen was the courtyard he was standing in. Success. However, this world rejected him infinitely, and his physical body quickly immaterialized. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiao Chen instantly drew the saber in his hand and chopped down the tree in the courtyard. His body completely immaterialized, and Xiao Chen returned to reality. Then, he vomited a mouthful of blood and went flying back. Whoosh! Did I really succeed? Nothing changed in front of Xiao Chen. However, the physical injuries felt incredibly real. Fortunately, the three-life mirror protected his soul in the space-time tunnel. Xiao Chen's skin, flesh, bones, and internal organs all shattered. However, his soul remained unharmed. Just as Xiao Chen felt uncertain, the tree in front of him silently snapped in half without any warning. This stunned Xiao Chen for a moment. Then he started laughing maniacally. I succeeded. I really succeeded. He successfully brought out the will of cycle in the Great Thousand Realms. Indeed, the dragon spirit did not lie to him. The three-life mirror could indeed help him bring out the state of cycle. Although the effect before him was not obvious, this was only the first time. As long as he cultivated it slowly, he would be able to achieve the same effect as when he was in the Kunlun realm. This allowed him to reverse space-time. As long as he stayed in the past or the future for 1 second, he could change the situation of life and death. How could such a heaven-defying technique not make one go wild with joy? After the wild joy, Xiao Chun calmed down. This is just the beginning. When Xiao Chen's physical injuries recovered, he continued practicing. Once he executed this heaven-defying killing move, he could change the situation at any time. 10 days later, Xiao Chun finally familiarized himself with the 3-life mirror and executed the cycle chop. Xiao Chun could stay in the future for 1 second and execute a peak saber strike. This was not comparable to the 3 seconds he could stay in the Kunlun realm. However, it was still a significant improvement. After all, Xiao Chun had not been able to execute this move before. On this particular day, just as Xiao Chun was about to continue cultivating, Sang and Qin Zhuolin came to find Xiao Chun. The 8th prince is coming. Which 8th prince? Xiao Chun asked, feeling confused. Qin Zhuolin said helplessly, "What have you been doing recently? How could you forget such an important matter? The Shuwu dynasty's 8th prince?" Xiao Chun allowed a soft sigh. Then, he recalled that he still had the trash of the Shuwu dynasty's royal clan. When will he arrive? We received the news 7 days ago. If there are no surprises, he should arrive tomorrow or the day after, Qin Zhuolin said with a somewhat nervous expression. After all, the 8th prince was the prince of the strongest dynasty in the Central Great Realm. They had to treat him seriously. No matter what they did, this matter would not be easy to resolve. Xiao Chun entered deep thought and said, "He really will come. His main purpose is probably Qing Chun." However, that did not matter. Xiao Chun already received news of his arrangements. Sang asked, "What should we do?" "It would be best if we can dispel his thoughts and resolve this peacefully. If not, there is no need for us to fear him." Chapter 2081. The Shuwu dynasty was a major faction in the west of the Central Great Realm, ruling over the demonic Tao. Naturally, none of the royal court disciples were simple. There were no weaklings. Ordinary people would not take the initiative to offend the Shuwu dynasty's princes. Naturally, Xiao Chun would not do so either. However, the other party targeted Qing Chun and even sent an expert to infiltrate Azure Mountain Town. Of the 2 experts, one was captured and the other was killed. Since there was already a grudge, there was no need for Xiao Chun to overthink it. 2 days later, when a morning sun rose, an undisguised demonic might appeared outside the city. Xiao Chun, Sang, and Qin Zhuolin sensed this aura at the same time. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man locked up in the dungeon also sensed this aura. He revealed an excited expression and said, "It's the 8th prince." There is hope now. Given the 8th prince's status and strength, Xiao Chun will not dare to hold back. However, Sang brought the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man out before the scarlet-clad man could think. After a while, Xiao Chen's group gathered. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man, whose cultivation was sealed, was tossed to the side. Boom! Just at this moment, demonic clouds encased the entire Azure Mountain Town. The sky instantly darkened, blocking out the rising sun. The villagers of Azure Mountain Town did not know what was going on, appearing confused. The black demonic clouds contained a terrifying demonic might, inspiring panic. The heavy pressure made Xiao Chen's group somewhat uncomfortable. Qin Zhuolin frowned slightly. What a strong demonic might. Before this 8th prince shows himself, he is already putting on a show of strength. A light flickered in Xiao Chen's eyes as he entered deep thought. The others did not know what he was thinking. Since the 8th prince is here, why not show yourself? Xiao Chen asked softly. His voice was not loud, but everyone in the city heard him clearly. At the same time, Xiao Chen silently spread out his dragon might. The citizens immediately felt the pressure on them lessen significantly. When they heard Xiao Chen's voice, they calmed down. You are not qualified to meet me. Release my people, and I can pretend that nothing happened. The 8th prince's voice was filled with majesty and anger as it echoed in the surroundings. With each word, the demonic might that shrouded Qingshan town intensified. The city was already on the verge of collapse. "I'm afraid you have no choice but to show yourself," Xiao Chan said indifferently. Behind Qingshan town, a blood-colored bird appeared. Its feathers were as eye-catching as blood and glowed faintly. It opened its mouth and inhaled. This was the demon blood vulture. However, the terrifying demonic clouds were great nourishment to the demon blood vulture. As soon as Xiao Chun gave the order, he immediately began to gobble it up. In a short while, the clouds were dispelled and the sun could be seen. A figure appeared in the sky above Qingshan town. He wore a blood-red robe, and the collar and cuffs of the robe were lined with gold. He looked gorgeous and noble. With the demon blood vulture sucking, Xiao Chun had no choice but to reveal himself even if he did not want to. Xiao! Suddenly, a strong wind blew in front of Xiao Chen's group, making their clothes flutter and hair flutter. They could not even open their eyes. Amid a flash of red light, the eighth prince suddenly appeared before Xiao Chen's group. He showed a sullen expression, a murderous intent hidden in his eyes. A great perfection, sovereign personage. This eighth prince's cultivation had already reached great perfection, sovereign personage. Together with his demonic might and dynasty bloodline, his aura was heavy and oppressive. However, Xiao Chen's group remained expressionless, appearing calm and at ease. However, this eighth prince actually came alone. He did not have any guards or experts with him. Xiao Chen did not know whether it was because he was skilled and bold or because there were experts hiding in the dark. The eighth prince glanced indifferently at the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. The other party felt somewhat embarrassed, not daring to meet the eighth prince's gaze. Xiao Chen said calmly, "Name a price. If I'm satisfied, you can take this person away." "Name a price?" The eighth prince felt slightly stunned. Then he mocked, "This should be the funniest joke I've ever heard. You are just a mixed-blood dragon, chased out of the divine dragon empire. To think that you dare to threaten me after capturing my people." Kassier. Without any warning, the eighth prince suddenly appeared and flicked his finger. A strand of scarlet energy shot out. Before the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man could react, a bloody hole appeared in his forehead. With his cultivation sealed, the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man was like an ordinary person. He could not block the eighth prince's strike at all and died on the spot. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man fell to the ground, unable to get up. He died with his eyes wide open. He had thought that he was the eighth prince's trusted subordinate. Who could have imagined that the eighth prince would not even spare him a few glances before killing him? Sang and Qin Zhuolin felt somewhat shocked. Unexpectedly, the eighth prince was so ruthless. "No one can threaten me, much less a trash. I thought that you were some incredible character. A mixed blood dragon is just a mixed blood dragon. Your vision is too low, and you're just a joke. I am here today, not for this trash, but for the extreme body in your city. Name a price, and I will take him away." The eighth prince showed an arrogant expression as he looked coldly at Xiao Chun, not caring about the other party at all. Seeing the other party not saying anything, the eighth prince felt that he had been shocked by the other party's actions. Indeed, the eighth prince had not seen much of the world. A great perfection, sovereign personage was incredible. He could be considered an expert anywhere. However, there were many such great perfection, sovereign personages in the Xiuwu dynasty. Killing one was not a big deal. "Who allowed you to kill him? What did you say?" The eighth prince felt slightly stunned. He gave Xiao Chan a somewhat strange look. Xiao Chen's words sounded strange. Xiao Chan was just a subordinate with some royal bloodline. Did he need the eighth prince's permission to kill him? "He is just trash. If I kill him, so be it. Do I need your permission? Even if he is trash in my hands." Boom! Before Xiao Chen finished speaking, he immediately executed the supreme dragon fist and punched. Dragon might spread out from Xiao Chen's body. Together with the 10,000 dragons picture in his mind, this dragon fist was headless, both in form and spirit. The eighth prince felt slightly startled. Without much time to think, he could only counter with a punch. Bang! The punch knocked the eighth prince back the moment they clashed. Blood leaked out of a corner of his lips. Unexpectedly, the might of Xiao Chen's punch could possess such horrifying destructive power. It did not seem like something a small perfection sovereign personage could execute. The offensive power contained in the punch far surpassed the limits of a small perfection sovereign personage. The eighth prince looked at Xiao Chen in shock. "You dare to attack me? You're seeking death." What shocked the eighth prince even more was that Xiao Chen, a prince of the Shu dynasty, dared to attack him directly. Demonic might surged out of the eighth prince's body as he roared ferociously. An overwhelming might burst forth as he slammed the ground and ferociously launched himself at Xiao Chen. Whoosh! As the eighth prince moved, his vast aura instantly crushed the hall where Xiao Chen and the others were into rubble. A strange scarlet light flowed on the eighth prince's body, enveloping him like water. "Xiao Chen, this is the blood demon armor. It is very hard to break. Don't clash head-on with him." Qin Zhuolin recognized this strange martial technique, so he warned Xiao Chen to avoid the eighth prince's attack for now and not clash head-on with the counterattacking eighth prince. However, Xiao Chen ignored Qin Zhuolin. He directly executed the Supreme Dragon Fist's second move, storing up power. Xiao Chen had already converted 50% of his blue dragon bloodline, and a 10,000 dragons picture appeared in his mind. Now that Xiao Chen executed the top offensive secret technique of the dragon race, he could no longer be compared to the past. The Supreme Dragon Fists might appeared in his hand. Thousands of dragon images gathered on Xiao Chen's body. When he punched, he knocked back the eighth prince, who was charging over with overwhelming demonic might. Third move, Heaven Dragon, no regrets. Lofty sentiments and righteousness gathered in Xiao Chen's heart. This punch, no regrets, Heaven Dragon. Fourth move, Raging at the Unfair Heaven. The lofty sentiments and righteousness turned into rage. The world changed color, and the rage in Xiao Chen's heart shook the sky. Bang! When Xiao Chen executed the Supreme Dragon Fist's fourth move, the eighth prince's blood demon armor turned into a pool of blood with a crack, forcibly breaking. The eighth prince vomited a mouthful of blood, and his complexion instantly paled. His blood demon armor actually broke. Qin Zhuolin, who was at the side, also felt greatly startled. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen was so ferocious, directly breaking the blood demon armor. Damn it! Blood held demonic eyes. The eighth prince roared furiously. His eyes glared and blood leaked out. The eighth prince looked sinister and terrifying. Strange golden talisman seals appeared in the depths of his eyes. Xiao Chen, this is the Shu dynasty's secret technique. Once it is executed, it can summon out the endless blood hell that the Shu dynasty refined. That is the blood hell that the Shu demonic monarch led 3,000 demonic venerates to refine. Once trapped in there, only death awaits. Qin Zhuolin's expression changed slightly. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen could force the eighth prince into such a miserable state. In just a few moves, Xiao Chen even had to execute the secret technique. All of you will die. None of you can escape. You have angered me. The eighth prince showed a ferocious expression. The blood hell image in the depths of his eyes slowly enlarged. Scarlet lightning continuously tore through the sky. A strong wind blew, kicking up sand and rocks. It looked like the end of the world. However, Xiao Chen did not panic. He calmly drew his saber, using martial and soul as one to execute only one saber strike. Aside from a saber in Xiao Chen's hand, only black and white remained in this world. Pu Ci, the eighth prince cried out miserably. His eyes popped, pierced by the dazzling saber light. The eighth prince covered his eyes with both hands, feeling excruciating pain. Then, he screamed at the top of his lungs. "Imperial uncle, help me kill him. Kill him. My eyes are blind." Qin Zhuolin insanely recovered from their shock. Their expressions changed drastically. "There is someone else here?" Plop! While the eighth prince felt bewildered, an old man fell to the ground in a sorry state. Chu Xiang and an old woman slowly descended with Qin Chen in the air. Qin Zhuolin could not help feeling startled. It turned out that the eighth prince had used demonic clouds to envelop Azure Mountain Town at the start. The eighth prince wanted his imperial uncle to silently take Qing Chen away. However, the eighth prince did not know that Shao Chun had already come up with a countermeasure. Not only did the eighth prince lose his eyes, but his situation was also worrying. Chapter 2082. If Shao Qing Chen did not settle down properly, the other party would come endlessly to seek trouble for Shao Chun, becoming harder to deal with each time. What do you mean by this? Are you thinking of keeping this prince here? Shao Chun, let me tell you this. Don't go overboard. Otherwise, even the Peach Blossom's sovereign emperor will not be able to protect you. He glanced at the old lady beside Chu Xiang. The old lady's aura enveloped him, preventing him from making any big movements. Uncle, kill him for me. Kill him. I'm blind. In this world, apart from the saber in his hand, there was only black and white. When the eighth prince saw his imperial uncle being thrown down, he knew that it was all over. Seeing that the other party had left, Chu Xiang teased with a smile. The eighth prince let out a miserable shriek as his eyes were pierced by the dazzling saber light. Qin Zhuolin waved his hand and said, I don't need it. Just give it to Shao Chun. When Shao Chun heard that, he felt slightly stunned. However, he quickly understood. There were not many things that could interest Qin Zhuolin. Sang and Qin Zhuolin suddenly understood. It turned out that Shao Chun had planned this all along. Back then, this person did not even give face to the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter. Qin Zhuolin could not help feeling startled. It turned out that the eighth prince had covered Azure Mountain Town with demonic clouds at the start. Even if he wanted to, he didn't know where Tian Xiang was. After Chu Xiang and Qing Chun greeted Shao Chun, they left with the old woman. He had originally thought that he wouldn't need to spend too much energy on this experience, but it had destroyed both his eyes and left an indelible wound in his heart. The eighth prince had a fierce expression as the blood prison in the depths of his eyes slowly expanded. Blood-colored lightning continuously tore through the sky. A berserk gale blew sand and pebbles into the air. It was a scene of the end of the world. Shao Chun revealed disdain in his eyes. He said indifferently, cut the crap. You're just a prince. There are hundreds of princes in the Xiu dynasty. Since when is it your turn to represent the royal court? Take out 5 million primeval heavenly pills. Otherwise, you can forget about leaving Azure Mountain Town today. I don't mind spreading your scandal in Azure Mountain City to the entire desolate sea. Qin Zhuolin looked at Shao Chun and said with a smile, I said it before. Sooner or later, your name will shake the world. The old man was a sovereign emperor. However, the old woman from the heavenly fragrance holy land firmly suppressed him. After handing a storage ring to Shao Chun, the old woman quickly left with the eighth prince. Where is the body of the previous holy daughter? Chu Xiang asked. However, he did not know that Shao Chun had already made a plan to deal with it. Not only had he lost his eyes, but the only thing he could rely on was his situation. Did I say you could leave? After killing my men, you want to leave just like that? Isn't that a little too presumptuous? The eighth prince was infuriated. After putting away the storage ring, Shao Chun said in a light voice, since we've already become enemies, it would be a pity if I don't make him pay. That scarlet-robed, middle-aged man was clearly the eighth prince's subordinate. Now that he had died at the eighth prince's hands, Shao Chun had escaped justice. Whoosh! Shao Chun looked at Qing Chun and said, go with them. The people in the village will help take care of your younger brother. They're all good people. Junior, don't be too extreme. Here are the primeval heavenly pills. Let's go. Qing Chen's eyes brimmed with tears. Now that she had grown up, she was the one who caused all this trouble. If she wanted to take revenge in the future, her eyes would be destroyed. Now, she would lose all face in the royal clan. Shao Chun said calmly, I do not have any intention of making things difficult for this prince. I just want to repeat myself. Even trash has its value. He is, after all, a great perfection sovereign personage trash. You killed him just like that without showing any signs of gratitude. And now you want to leave? Oh, right. Chu Xiang, this is the jade pendant your holy daughter wanted. Shao Chun shouted coldly when he saw the eighth prince about to leave, showing no intention of letting the other party leave. Qin Zhuolin was truly a good friend. Xiao Qian had done too much for her. The eighth prince was already frightened out of his wits. If he had another choice, he would not come to Azure Mountain Town, even if he was beaten to death. All of you will die. None of you can escape. Xiao Qian, you have angered me. If the eighth prince handed Qin Qian over to the heavenly fragrance Holy Land, as long as the other party took a liking to Qin Qian, he would not dare to seek trouble for her. Imperial uncle, let's go. TSK, TSK. To think that it is the desolate city medallion. If I had known that it was this treasure, I would not have been so polite, Qin Zhuolin teased as he looked at the desolate city medallion in Xiao Qian's hand. The eighth prince covered his eyes with both hands and screamed at the top of his lungs in pain. As a geomaster, the bloodline of adventurers flowed in the eighth prince's veins. He could suppress the restlessness in his heart and remain in Azure Mountain Town for 4 years. Xiao Qian nodded with a smile. Such an ending was perfect for an extreme body. Hee. Big brother Xiao, you are really bold. To think that you dare to extort a prince of the Shuwu dynasty. To Xiao Qian, these 5 million primeval heavenly pills were like sweet dew after a long drought, resolving his urgent need. The desolate city medallion? Plop! We will definitely meet again. Qin Zhuolin laughed loudly and turned to leave. Qin Zhuolin exchanged looks with Xiao Qian. Then he said, Sorry, I've already become a desolate slave. There is nothing I can do about it. It looks like this jade pendant is something very important. Xiao Qian thought for a while before saying, I was lucky. I relied on Brother Qin's help to find it. Take care. I'll look forward to meeting you again. Xiao Qian and Sang appeared somewhat surprised. Qin Zhuolin's decision was too sudden. Xiao Qian, what is this? Qin Zhuolin asked, still feeling confused. When Qin Zhuolin heard that, he immediately felt like laughing. Xiao Qian was simply too interesting. This child is pretty good. I want to bring her back to the heavenly fragrance Holy Land. I have already spoken to her. However, I cannot let go of her little brother. Qin Zhuolin casually dealt with Xiao Qian's killing move. Then, he barely managed to throw a palm strike and force Xiao Qian back. Xiao Qian thought for a while before saying, Senior, please help me take good care of Qin Qian. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter already agreed to owe me a favor. There is no need to make any more requests. Chu Xiang and the old lady's eyes dimmed upon hearing that. 5 million. Xiao Qian received the ancient medallion. Feeling somewhat puzzled, he still said politely, Thank you, Senior. Xiao Qian and Sang wanted to keep Qin Zhuolin. However, the other party had already made up his mind, so they could not do anything. The main reason was that Xiao Qian was now extremely poor and urgently needed primeval heavenly pills. Although the eighth prince felt very sullen, he knew that there would not be a better result if he stayed. So, he decisively decided to leave now. Xiao Qian was rather straightforward. He shrugged and said, If you need it, I can get it to you. The eighth prince raged. Dream on. I only have 5 million primeval heavenly pills on me. If you have the guts, kill me. You are too polite. It is time for us to go. Goodbye. You have already been here for 4 years. Since you are fine, I can rest assured. I'm truly happy for you that you have such a fortuitous encounter. Do you still remember what I said to you when we first met? The old lady smiled and said, Child, your character is pretty good. No wonder Xiang kept saying good things about you along the way. How about this? I will give you a desolate city medallion. It is useless in my hands. With the heavenly fragrance Holy Land's interference, he could forget about obtaining the extreme body. There was no need to even think about seeking trouble for Xiao Qian. Right now, Qin Zhuolin's greatest reliance, the divine vein realm sovereign uncle, was clearly not a match for the heavenly fragrance Holy Land supreme elder. Just as the eighth prince felt uncertain, an old man was tossed to the ground in a sorry state. Chu Xiang and an old lady slowly descended with Qin Qian in the air. Xiao Qian pointed to Chu Xiang and said, This is the heavenly fragrance Holy Land's Miss Chu Xiang. This is the heavenly fragrance Holy Land Senior. When they heard that Qin Qian has an extreme body, they specially rushed over. They arrived 1 day ago and are very satisfied with Qin Qian's talent. The severely injured 8th prince immediately paled in fright. He felt his entire body turn cold. The fear of death surged into his heart, turning into an invisible mountain blocking his throat. Xiao Chun checked his storage ring. There was a small mountain-sized pile of primeval heavenly pills in there. After checking with his spiritual sense, he confirmed that the number was about the same. The heavenly fragrance Holy Land's old lady said to Xiao Chun with some joy as she looked at Qin Chun. Xiao Chun clearly knew that the focus of his conflict with the 8th prince was Qin Chun. To everyone's surprise, Xiao Chun did not even think. He instantly drew his tyrant saber, and his figure flashed. A resplendent saber light pierced towards the 8th prince. When the 8th prince heard this explanation, he felt so frustrated that he wanted to vomit blood. No one has ever dared to speak to this prince like that before. Xiao Chun, are you really going to offend the entire Xiuwu dynasty's royal court? Puxi, Qin Juolin, and Sang Li recovered from their shock. Their expressions changed drastically. There is someone else here? As you wish. The bona fide heavenly fragrance's holy daughter actually became a desolate slave. Who could have imagined such an ending? Xiao Chun had just taken out the jade pendant when the old lady pulled it over. After taking a look, she looked up in shock and exclaimed, "It really is the heavenly fragrance jade pendant. How did you do it? Even I cannot barge through the heavenly Tao killing formation." In the time it took for a spark to fly, a figure shielded the 8th prince. It was the sovereign emperor that the heavenly fragrance Holy Land's elder injured. "Big brother, thank you. Qin Chun will be obedient. You have to take care of yourself as well." However, Xiao Chun did not panic. He calmly drew his saber and executed martial and soul as one, launching only one saber strike. Xiao Chun wanted his royal uncle to silently take Qin Chun away. Although he was blind, the 8th prince could still sense his surroundings with his soul energy. Thank you. However, you should keep it for yourself. You need it more than I do," Qin Juolin rejected with a smile. After a pause, he said, "I'm leaving. How unfortunate." The old lady hesitated, her eyes filled with regret. After a moment of silence, she looked at Xiao Chun and said, "No matter what, the two of you have done a great service to my heavenly fragrance Holy Land by retrieving the heavenly fragrance jade pendant. Since the Holy Lord is not around, I will agree to a request on behalf of the Holy Lord." Chapter 2083. Qin Juolin's departure was somewhat strange, but made sense. Qin Juolin was a geomaster, someone that even the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter had to treat politely. He could not possibly remain in Azure Mountain Town. It was already not easy for Qin Juolin to remain here for 4 years. As Xiao Chun watched Qin Juolin leave, he watched until he vanished from his vision before withdrawing his gaze. "Xiao Chun, I have something to say," Sang said as he looked at Xiao Chun somewhat seriously. Sang looked at Xiao Chun somewhat seriously. Xiao Chun nodded and said, "Speak. I want to stay here and leave the propping mulberry tree here. This is interesting. One wants to leave and the other wants to stay. I can rest assured with your decision. The people of this Azure Mountain Town should be ordinary people from the Blue Dragon race's territory. They should have some connection to the Blue Dragon race. Actually, I'm rather happy that you can stay." If Qin Juolin wanted to leave, Xiao Chun would have to leave sooner or later. The tiny Azure Mountain Town could not even be considered a drop of dew in the vast desolate sea. Xiao Chun was ambitious and determined to reach the peak of the martial Tao. Naturally, he would not remain here. If the three of them left, no one could take care of the people of Azure Mountain Town if anything happened to them. Xiao Chun felt truly happy that Sang could stay here. "Where do you intend to plant the divine tree?" Sang pointed outside the city and said, "Right beside the ancient well, propping mulberry trees like the cold, so they can make full use of the cold chi below. The illumination of the blood moon has a miraculous effect. In less than 100 years, propping mulberry trees will be able to grow. The propping mulberry tree and I are one. With it supporting each other, it will be of great help to my cultivation." It looked like Sang had planned this long ago and had not made this decision on the spur of the moment. "Let's go." The two's figures flashed, and they quickly arrived beside the ancient well. At this moment, the blazing sun hung high in the sky. As the two stood beside the ancient well, cold chi spread out, making them feel refreshed. Xiao Chun took out the propping mulberry tree from the divine universe steel. The divine tree sapling looked ordinary and unremarkable as he held it in his hand. It was hard to imagine that he was Fusong, one of the 3 great sacred trees in the world. Sang took the seedling, carefully placed it on the ground, and formed a hand seal. The propping mulberry tree's roots and branches kept growing, quickly seeping into the ground. The lush and massive roots and the palm-sized tree body looked somewhat uncoordinated. Saying, "These are for you." Of the 5 million primeval heavenly pills that he extorted from the 8th prince, Xiao Chun was not stingy, giving 1 million to Sang. After Sang checked it, he was slightly surprised. However, he did not put on airs. He thanked Xiao Chun and accepted it. The two had a deep friendship and would not exchange pleasantries over this primeval heavenly pill. "When do you plan to leave? Where do you plan to go?" Sang asked. Xiao Chun said softly, "I won't be leaving anytime soon. As for where I'm going, I have no clue." Xiao Chun had already explored most of the secrets of the Blue Dragon's old lands. Now, his goal was to advance to the Divine Vein realm and inherit the Blue Dragon race's inheritance and treasures. However, advancing to the Divine Vein realm was very difficult. The veritable personage realm, the Primal Core realm, and the Cloud Sea realm. These 3 realms represented the limits of humans. Advancing to sovereign personage was already very incredible, and one would have to eliminate many cultivators. One would have a long lifespan, easily living for 5,000 years. Every world had its own heavenly Tao. The primes of the Kunlun realm could also live for thousands of years. That was because their cultivation had already reached the limits of the Kunlun realm. If they came to the Great Thousand Realms, they would not have such a long lifespan. The two could not be mentioned in the same breath. Right now, Xiao Chun was only 47 years old in the Great Thousand Realms, and he already reached small perfection sovereign personage. Even among the countless outstanding talents of the 8 great empires for dynasties and the righteous and demonic Tao in the entire Central Great Realm, people with such comprehension ability were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. However, when one reached sovereign personage, it was practically impossible for one's cultivation to rise quickly. This was because one had already reached the limit. Sovereign personage was already the limit of humans. Any further, and they would surpass humans. They would be able to control divine energy and possess an undying body. Furthermore, they would be able to condense their Tao domain into a small world. Many of these methods were like myths, completely beyond Xiao Chen's imagination. Many people remained stuck at the sovereign personage realm for hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years, unable to advance. They could only watch as their lifespan approached its limit, breaking through and waiting for death. It looked like there were only 3 steps for Xiao Chun to advance to the Divine Vein realm: Great Perfection Sovereign Personage, Peak Sovereign Personage, and Divine Vein. However, one of these 3 steps was 9 heavens. Right now, even if Xiao Chun broke through to Great Perfection Sovereign Personage, he did not feel confident. It was already very rare for Xiao Chun to advance from Peak Holy Venerate to Peak Small Perfection Sovereign Personage in a mere 4 years. This was equivalent to decades, or even centuries of hard work for others. The road ahead was long. The most troublesome thing was that Xiao Chun did not know where to go next to cultivate. If he were in Ancestor Dragon City, there would not be so much trouble. A senior would give him pointers for every step of his cultivation. Factions like Ancestor Dragon City had tens of thousands of years of experience, such as which place to go for experiential training, what resources to give, and how to nurture them. They would not let their disciples feel lost. Xiao Chun came to this vast, desolate sea alone. If not for a coincidence, he would not have been able to survive. If not for a coincidence, he would have obtained many fortuitous encounters in the land of the Blood Moon. His past few years might have been wasted. Xiao Chun could only remain in this azure mountain for now. Sang could see Xiao Qian's helplessness. He nodded and said, "Your cultivation has advanced too quickly in the past few years. Your combat experience as a sovereign personage is practically zero. If there is an opportunity, you should fight more with the remaining sovereign personages. Otherwise, you will find it hard to consolidate your accumulations." Xiao Qian thought about it and agreed. Although he had fought with the black and white eggs many times, they were not true fights to the death. Although he had been taught a miserable lesson, he had not had many life and death experiences. When he advanced to sovereign personage, he had only truly fought 2 or 3 times since he returned to Azure Mountain Town. Xiao Qian could only make up for the flaws in his saber Dao through constant battles. It was time for Xiao Qian to undergo true experiential training to experience life and death battles. When Sang saw Xiao Qian in deep thought, he said softly, "Think about it yourself. I just planted the propping mulberry tree. I need to guard it for a while." Xiao Qian nodded and returned to his room alone. After thinking for a while, Xiao Qian put aside all distracting thoughts for now. He still had 4 million primeval heavenly pills. He should make good use of them. Whoosh! Xiao Qian's figure flashed, and he entered the divine universe steel. A blood moon hung in the sky in the vast and boundless primal chaos space. There was a vast and ancient Tao platform in the center. The dazzling blood moon gave off a mysterious halo. It gave Xiao Qian the feeling that he could use it to enter the Blue Dragon ancient city. When Xiao Qian landed on the Tao platform, he gently waved his hand, and countless primeval heavenly pills immediately landed on the Tao platform. When the Tao platform was filled, Xiao Qian spent 500,000 primeval heavenly pills. Even though he had extorted them from the 8th prince, he still felt some heartache. Whoosh! The primeval heavenly pills filled the Tao platform. Without Xiao Qian's soul energy and veritable essence energy, the Tao platform could be easily driven. A boundless azure sea appeared before Xiao Qian. The various Tao platforms and secret realms of the Divine Dragon Empire appear before him. At the end of the azure sea was an incredibly mysterious totem. It looked hazy and indistinct, impossible to see clearly. It looked like 500,000 primeval heavenly pills were far from enough to make the blue dragon totem of the Kunlun realm appear completely. However, Xiao Qian was in no rush to return now. He swept his gaze through the many Tao platforms and secret realms. After a while, he noticed the secret realm controlled by the 3rd palace master of the Heaven Dragon Palace. He could even see the outline of the divine rank medicine cauldron that he loaned to the 3rd palace master. That's it. With a thought, the motes of light that appeared in the azure sea sank back into the sea. Rumble! In the next moment, waves roared ferociously in the sea. The surface of the sea undulated, and a Tao platform emerged from the seawater. Xiao Qian shouted, and the ancient Tao platform under his feet burst forth with a bright light and boundless talisman scripts. A spatial energy strong enough to tear apart stars infused into Xiao Qian's body. Then, Xiao Qian leaped into the air and landed on the Tao platform in the seawater. Whoosh! After Xiao Qian stepped on the Tao platform, it quickly sank into the water. Soon, Xiao Qian sank as well. In reality, the divine universe steel flashed with light and entered the void. Chapter 2084. Whoosh! When Xiao Qian reappeared, he was in a familiar secret realm. 1,000-year-old spirit herbs and above filled the place. In the past, anything in this treasure land could make Xiao Qian's heart skip a beat. Looking around, there weren't many treasures that could tempt him. There was a saying that only elixirs that grew in the wilderness and in dangerous places could be considered as true treasures of heaven and earth. The artificially nurtured spirit herbs in the herb field would always lack spirituality, unable to reach perfection. Am I already in the Heaven Dragon Palace? Xiao Qian muttered to himself as he looked at the familiar scenery, feeling somewhat surreal. 1 moment ago, he was in a small city in the desolate sea hundreds of millions of kilometers away. In the next moment, he was back in the Divine Dragon Empire. If Xiao Qian could activate the Divine Universe Steel in the past, he would not have been chased into such a sorry state back then. Xiao Qian could come and go as he pleased. How carefree. There did not seem to be anyone in this Heaven Dragon Palace's herb garden's secret realm. As Xiao Chun strolled around, he stopped before the divine rank medicine cauldron. The small mountain-sized medicine cauldron burned endlessly with flames. It looked like the third palace master used it frequently. Xiao Chun gently leaped up and arrived above the medicine cauldron. Gurgle, gurgle. A fierce sea of flames surged endlessly in the medicine cauldron, startling Xiao Chun. It seemed like someone was refining some medicinal pill in there. The sea of flames surged, but he could not see it clearly. Someone is here. Whoosh. Xiao Chun saw a figure flash as he rushed to the bottom of the medicine cauldron. Then, he muttered to himself somewhat anxiously, I'm somewhat late. I just found the last ingredient. This person seemed to be in too much of a rush and had not expected someone to appear in the secret realm without anyone noticing. This person did not notice Xiao Chen's presence. Third Palace Master, long time no see. Suddenly, the third Palace Master heard a voice, and his expression changed drastically. When he looked up, he saw a familiar face. Xiao Chun? That's not right. How could Xiao Chun return to the Divine Dragon Empire silently? Furthermore, he entered my Heaven Dragon Palace's herb garden's secret realm. Who exactly are you? Boom! A frightening aura burst forth from the third Palace Master. His expression was sharp as he looked at Xiao Chun cautiously. When Xiao Chun heard this, he was slightly stunned. Then, he realized that if he were the third hall master, he would definitely be shocked as well. He gently leaped up and landed on the ground. Then he said softly, Third Palace Master, there is no need to doubt that it is really me. This divine rank medicine cauldron was lent to the third hall master by me. There shouldn't be any outsiders who know about this, right? The third palace master retreated to the side with a doubtful expression. He still did not dare to believe it completely. It was simply too unbelievable, and he found it hard to believe. If you had stolen Xiao Chen's memories, you would naturally know all of this. In that case, even if I steal his memories, I should not be able to practice the Supreme Dragon Fist, right? Xiao Chen did not waste any time. He immediately executed the Supreme Dragon Fist. A dragon roar rang out, and dragon might spread out. When he punched, thousands of dragon images burst out from Xiao Chen's body. It's really you. Now the third palace master finally believed it. When he first saw Xiao Chun, he already felt that it was Xiao Chun. However, it did not make sense, so the third palace master had to be cautious. Now that Xiao Chun mentioned the medicine cauldron's origins and executed the Supreme Dragon Fist, there was no doubt about his identity. How did you get in? The third palace master still felt suspicious. Given Xiao Chen's strength, he could not have sneaked in without anyone noticing. This place was the Heaven Dragon Palace, the most tightly guarded secret realm. Even a divine vein realm sovereign emperor could not enter without anyone noticing. Xiao Chun smiled faintly and said, Third Palace Master, don't worry. I used a special secret technique to enter. Aside from me, no one else can do so. When the third Palace Master heard that, he relaxed significantly. He thought that something had gone wrong with the defense. Since that was the case, he did not pursue the matter. The third Palace Master revealed a smile and said, It has been almost 6 years since we parted, right? You are already a small perfection sovereign personage. This is truly shocking. Even if you entered Ancestor Dragon City, you might not have such a cultivation. It is Ancestor Dragon City's loss that they did not want you. The third Palace Master felt shocked at Xiao Chen's change. He felt very grateful in his heart. Xiao Chun could feel the joy and happiness in the third Palace Master's heart. The third Palace Master truly missed him. This was also why Xiao Chun could activate the Divine Universe Steel. The first thing that came to Xiao Chen's mind was to meet the third Palace Master. I'll go and tell Second Brother. He is a very busy person right now. However, he will definitely be very happy to know that you are here. Xiao Chen quickly stopped the third Palace Master. Next time, I am already very satisfied with seeing the third Palace Master. The third Palace Master said, Very well. Tell me what you experienced in the past few years. Xiao Chen did not rush to answer. Instead, he asked softly, I want to know how the first Palace Master is doing now. The Blood Dragon Guard's Vice Hall Master Li only knew that the first palace master was imprisoned. However, he did not tell Xiao Chun anything more. First brother is doing very well. You don't have to worry. To him, 100 years will pass in the blink of an eye, the third palace master said with a somewhat sad expression when he mentioned the first palace master. When Xiao Chun heard that, he relaxed slightly. Back then, if not for the first palace master, the sovereign emperor elders of Ancestor Dragon City would have smacked him to death with one palm strike. After not seeing each other for a long time, Xiao Chun and the third palace master chatted happily. Occasionally, the two mentioned the past, and many memories appeared. The Heaven Dragon Palace was the only place in the Great Thousand Realms that gave Xiao Chun a sense of home. Xiao Chun would never forget many of the things he experienced there. When he thought about them, they felt like they happened just yesterday. If possible, Xiao Chun did not want to leave the Divine Dragon Empire. No matter where he was, the dragon race's bloodline flowed in his veins. What is the Divine Dragon Crown Prince Qin Mu's cultivation now? Xiao Chun asked. The third palace master replied after some thought. He was already a great perfection sovereign personage 2 years ago. He has the purple gold dragon emperor's personal guidance and the golden dragon bloodline's boundless resources for his cultivation. No matter what secret technique or cultivation technique he cultivates, he has a corresponding senior expert to guide him. Furthermore, his talent and bloodline are excellent. Such a person is naturally stronger than ordinary people. However, there is one thing that he cannot compare to you. His mental state is not as strong as yours. Now that he is a great perfection sovereign personage, he needs to stabilize his comprehension. Mental state cultivation is very important. Mental state cultivation was very important. However, it was not as strong as the third palace master made it out to be. He was mostly consoling himself. Xiao Chun smiled faintly, but did not say anything. If Xiao Chun brought out all his trump cards, even a peak sovereign personage might not be able to defeat him. The Divine Dragon Crown Prince did not fear him at all. Do I still have a chance to come back? Xiao Chun asked. When the third palace master heard that, his expression turned somewhat grave. He sighed softly. Actually, you did not do anything wrong. You can come back at any time. However, the Golden Dragon bloodline fears you. 6 years ago, you used the Supreme Dragon Fist to defeat the Emperor Dragon Fist, scaring many of the Golden Dragon bloodline seniors out of closed-door cultivation. If you can advance to the Divine Vein Realm, you can come back at any time. According to Ancestor Dragon City's rules, as long as you become a sovereign emperor and are willing to serve the empire, any crimes will be forgiven. At that time, even if the Golden Dragon bloodline wants to make things difficult for you, they will not dare to do anything to you openly. The value of a Divine Vein Realm sovereign emperor went without saying. If Ancestor Dragon City could gain the service of a sovereign emperor, they would definitely not pursue Xiao Chun's past. On the contrary, they would even reward Xiao Chun and rope him in. This was a world where the strong reigned. Most of the time, there was no need to talk too much about reason. Xiao Chun smiled bitterly when he heard that. So that is the case. If they felt that I could advance to Sovereign Emperor, Ancestor Dragon City would not have made things difficult for me because of my strange bloodline back then, right? The third palace master remained silent. The answer went without saying. Strength represented everything. The first palace master offended his superiors and caused chaos in the Dragon City. This was a much more severe mistake than Xiao Chun's. However, the first palace master only imprisoned Xiao Chun for 100 years because of the first palace master's strength. Ancestor Dragon City did not want to lose a peak expert like the first palace master. Naturally, they would not truly make things difficult for the first palace master. The third palace master took a sip of wine and said indifferently, "If you can advance to Sovereign Emperor before 100 years old, I believe that the powerhouses of Ancestor Dragon City will personally apologize to you. Even the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor cannot do whatever he wants in the Divine Dragon Empire." I understand now. Xiao Chun showed a grave expression, not saying anything more. Most of the time, the principle was this simple: the strong reigned. Chapter 2085. After seeing the third palace master, and learning that the first palace master was fine, Shao Chun asked about the situation of his friends in the Heaven Dragon Palace. He discovered that most of them had entered Ancestor Dragon City and were doing well. The Red Dragon Palace's Murong Yin, the Blue Dragon Palace's Sidu Changfeng, and the Golden Dragon Palace's Wei Hongfei missed those times. Everyone had gone to the abyssal underworld to complete the sex missions and went on experiential training in the ancient city. They had relied on each other and lived and died together. Since everyone was doing well, Shao Chun felt at ease. Third Palace Master, if there is an opportunity, please help me tell them that I am doing well as well. Right, you're leaving, right? The Third Palace Master felt curious about how Shao Chun would leave. This Garden's secret realm was heavily guarded with tight formations. How could Shao Chun enter silently? I'm leaving. If I have time in the future, I will come back. I hope that you don't come often. If you have any other thoughts, I won't even know that you have emptied out this distant secret realm, the Third Palace Master teased. Huh, that reminds me. Shao Chun smiled happily and performed a cupped fist salute in farewell. Then, he vanished into thin air, leaving only the divine universe still hovering in the air. This is... The Third Palace Master's eyes lit up. A spatial treasure that can hide living people. Is this an inherited Dao tool or a soul tool? How high would a secret treasure that could hide people be? More importantly, the Third Palace Master had never heard of a secret treasure that could hide ordinary people. Whoosh! Before the Third Palace Master's shocked eyes, the divine universe still vanished silently. The Third Palace Master spread out his soul energy. Aside from him, there was no one else in the entire secret realm. The somewhat incredulous Third Palace Master circulated his divine energy to check the surroundings, thoroughly searching the entire secret realm. The Third Palace Master had to believe that Shao Chun really left. This little fellow has some fortuitous encounters. After the shock, the Third Palace Master revealed a smile and sighed. Unfortunately, he did not enter Ancestor Dragon City. It is too difficult for a loose cultivator to grow. In the next moment, the divine universe steel appeared in the desolate sea's azure mountain town. When Shao Chun came out and saw the divine universe steel, he felt it was miraculous. This was truly shocking. Not to mention the Third Palace Master. Even Shao Chun felt like he was in a dream. Shao Chun simply did not dare to imagine that he could return to the Divine Dragon Empire with a thought, no matter where he was. Even a Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperor would not be able to do that. At the very least, the Third Palace Master, a Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperor, was shocked. However, after this round trip, he lost 1,000,000 primeval heavenly pills, which made Shao Chun's heart ache. After all, the Shu dynasty's 8th prince only had 5,000,000 primeval heavenly pills. After conversing with the Third Palace Master, Shao Chun deeply felt the importance of strength. Sovereign Emperor, Sovereign Emperor. If one did not advance to Sovereign Emperor, one would not have a right to speak. A sovereign personage was already considered an expert. If Shao Chun was content with the current situation and went to an outer region, he would not be able to defeat a sovereign personage. For example, in the Grave Sea Cluster, one could live a very good life. They were respected and aloof, able to decide the life and death of others with a single thought. However, Shao Chun could not do so. His vision could not stop at sovereign personage. Even Sovereign Emperor was not the limit. Compared to the Divine Dragon Crown Prince and the others, Shao Chun's weakness was too obvious. How hateful! Shao Chun hated how he was chased out of the Divine Dragon Empire, unable to enter Ancestor Dragon City. Otherwise, he would not have ended up like this. If there is a chance, I have to ask the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor for advice. The other party is someone comparable to the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. Shao Chun thought, since I cannot figure out what to do in the future by myself, I have to ask an expert. Shao Chun did not know where to go in the vast, desolate sea. He did not know where to go for experiential training, where to improve his saber skills, and where to make up for the flaws in his saber Dao. Where to find resources to continue improving his Universe Origin True Flame and Heavenly Snow Divine Flame. The peach blossom sovereign emperor's vision was much broader than Xiao Chen's. He was someone who stood at the top of the pyramid of the martial epic. If Xiao Chen did not ask the peach blossom sovereign emperor for advice, it would be inexcusable. Feeling the pressure and urgency, Xiao Chen did not hesitate. That night, he wrote a letter for the demon blood vulture to deliver to Peach Blossom City's Senior Chui. Half a month later, Xiao Chen received a reply from Senior Chui. There were only 4 words: "Come over quickly." Upon receiving this reply, Xiao Chen revealed a smile. It looked like he should not have any problems meeting the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. After getting some fine wine from Grandpa Seven's residence, Xiao Chen went outside the city to say goodbye to Sang. Sang was still taking care of the propping mulberry tree by the ancient well. He glanced at Xiao Chen and said, "I have a feeling that after you leave, we will not be able to meet for a long time. However, I will always be in Azure Mountain Town. As long as you come back, you will be able to find me. Tell me, what resources does the propping mulberry tree need? The next time we meet, I will definitely bring them back for you." Sang smiled faintly and said softly, "Thank you. Go on then. We will meet again in the future." With a gentle leap, Xiao Chen soared into the air. A beam of red light descended from the sky and happened to catch Xiao Chen. It was the demon blood vulture. Sang looked at Xiao Chen, who was far away in the sky, and then at the 10-meter-tall propping mulberry tree beside him. Then he said softly, "I wonder, between you and it, who will grow faster? The next time we meet, you will be a sovereign emperor, right?" The demon blood vulture traveled day and night. 7 days later, a familiar scene appeared before Xiao Chen's eyes. 500 kilometers of peach blossom forest hid green mountains and beautiful rivers in the middle of the wilderness, looking like a painting. This was Peach Blossom City, with the demon blood vulture rushing over. Not to mention being fast, Xiao Chen did not look travel-stained at all when he landed. Xiao Chen saw Senior Chui, who stopped at the same place. The peach blossoms on both sides of the river turned red every year. No old friends came with the wind. After 30 years of searching for an old dream, there was only a cup of wine in a golden goblet. Senior Chui had not changed. The boat stopped at the riverside, and no one dared to approach. Xiao Chen boarded the small boat and said softly, "Senior Chui, it's time to set sail. Same old rules. Don't set sail without wine. Satisfy me first." Xiao Chen smiled faintly and tossed over a jar of setting sundae. Senior Chui caught it and drank to his heart's content, crying out in delight. After Senior Chui drank to his heart's content, he looked at Xiao Chen and scolded jokingly, "Brat, who knows where you went for the past 4 years? You finally returned after so much difficulty, yet you only thought of coming to Peach Blossom City to meet me now." Xiao Chen said helplessly, "Something happened and delayed me." Then, Xiao Chen told Senior Chui about the Shu Dynasty's 8th prince. There is such a thing? The Shuowu Dynasty's prince went to Azure Mountain Town? This is somewhat strange. Although the righteous Dao and demonic Dao factions are relatively peaceful, if they get an opportunity, they will try to kill. The 8th prince should not dare to come. This is rather inconceivable. The one you met might not be his true body, Senior Chui said, feeling somewhat suspicious after hearing that. Old Chui asked doubtfully after hearing that. Not his true body. When Xiao Chen heard that, he entered deep thought. Based on Senior Chui's words, it did seem somewhat suspicious. Back then, when that 8th prince heard that Xiao Chen wanted to extort 5 million primeval heavenly pills from him, he directly told Xiao Chen to kill him. In the end, that divine vein realm sovereign emperor took out 5 million primeval heavenly pills out of fear of the heavenly fragrance, Holy Land Supreme Elder, before settling things. Senior Chui said, "In my impression, the Shu Dynasty's royal court disciples are all terrifyingly strong. There are practically no weaklings among them. Of course, that is just a guess. It is also possible that this 8th prince is indeed not a powerful character. His demonic monarch bloodline is thin, so he does not receive much attention, which is why he dares to enter the desolate sea. Are the righteous Dao and demonic Dao really as incompatible as Senior says?" Xiao Chen asked, finding this strange. Xiao Chen recalled that the righteous Dao and demonic Dao factions did not have much conflict in Peach Blossom City previously. Furthermore, after Xiao Chen wiped out the Heavenly Slaughter Sect branch's stronghold, a group of righteous Dao disciples viewed him as an enemy. As Senior Chui rowed the boat, he said, "This happened 100,000 years ago. The righteous Dao and demonic Dao factions fought until the sky turned dark, even destroying the heavenly realm. Do you think this grudge can be resolved? You practically never left Azure Mountain Town in the desolate sea, right? What you can see is just the surface. The undercurrents are surging, and it's more tragic than you can imagine." When Xiao Chen heard that, he entered deep thought. Indeed, he had never left Azure Mountain Town and did not understand much about the righteous Dao and demonic Dao factions in the desolate sea. "We've arrived." When the Peach Blossom's sovereign emperor heard that you were coming, he was rather happy, Senior Chui said with a smile as the boat entered the city. Old Chui chuckled as the boat sailed into the city. Clearly, he was in a good mood. Xiao Chen followed Senior Chui to the city lord's residence. Even after so many years, Peach Blossom City had not changed much. The place still had a rich wine fragrance. Taverns stood in great numbers, and the place was bustling. Chapter 2086. The place was as lively as before. However, Xiao Chen felt that Peach Blossom City was somewhat different. As he walked, the city lord's residence came into view in the distance. Finally, Xiao Chen knew what was different. The current Peach Blossom City was not like it was during the Peach Blossom Wine Festival. Everyone from the righteous Dao and demonic Dao gathered here. All sorts of scheming people came, creating chaos amid the liveliness. Without the ostentation and chaos, Peach Blossom City was actually a quiet and reserved city. Aside from the fine wine, Xiao Chen had some other things. The martial spirit of Peach Blossom City was very common. Experts clashed everywhere. Several of the cultivators even made Xiao Chen's eyes light up, making him stop and watch for a long time. These are the cultivators under the city lord. What do you think? You like them, right? Old Chui asked with a smile as he stood beside Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen replied softly, "Old Chui is being too humble. The quality and strength of these cultivators already rival that of rank 7 sect disciples. Some of them are even comparable to the inner sect disciples of rank 7 sections. Peach Blossom City is truly shocking. Did the city lord specially nurture them?" Old Chui smiled and said, "Of course, the city lord alone cannot deter the other factions from occupying such a treasured land in the desolate sea. Furthermore, the city lord will eventually reach the end of his lifespan. He has to make plans for the future of Peach Blossom City. However, the city lord did not specially seek out these people. Most of them came because of the fame. The city lord does not accept just anyone." The two chatted as they walked. After entering the city lord's residence, Old Chui led Xiao Chen to a quiet pavilion in the city lord's residence. "Go in then. The city lord has been waiting for a long time." Xiao Chen pushed open the door and entered. There was no one on the first floor or the second floor. When he reached the top floor, he saw the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor drinking by himself. "Greetings, Senior." Xiao Chen performed a cup fist salute. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor put down his wine cup and looked at Xiao Chen. A trace of doubt flashed in his deep, star-like eyes. His eyes saw the hazy shadow of a dragon behind Xiao Chen. When he tried to see it clearly, he discovered that the dragon was extremely ethereal. He was actually unable to capture it. Just as the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was about to forcefully capture it, a pair of dragon eyes suddenly appeared and glared at him, making his heart tremble. What a powerful dragon might. Just what kind of bloodline is that? I can't even see it clearly. However, it was certain that he had grasped the profound meaning of the Heaven Dragon. The power hidden in the dragon shadow was much stronger than 4 years ago, almost to the point of materializing. Interesting. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's expression did not change. He smiled faintly and said, "Little friend, you really astonish me. Now that I haven't seen him for 4 years, even I can't look at his dragon might directly. Earlier, Xiao Chun vaguely sensed that his dragon might clash with the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. However, he did not control it. Instead, it was the Blue Dragon's own majesty that had spontaneously formed a counterattack after being spied on. City Lord is too polite. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor did not pursue the matter. He directly said, "Old Chui already told me why you are here. Your thoughts are pretty good. You did not become blindly arrogant just because you obtained a fortuitous encounter. After all, loose cultivators are loose cultivators. Without anyone to guide them, they will either walk the demonic Tao or remain stagnant, finding it hard to advance. After advancing to Sovereign Emperor, the resources they require will be astronomical. Without a super faction supporting them, they will not be able to sustain themselves." After some thought, Xiao Chen asked, "So, Senior's meaning is? Join the Heavenly Alliance. You are not my disciple, and we are not master and disciple. I have no obligation to guide you. In reality, I rarely give personal guidance, even to the people of Peach Blossom City. After advancing to Sovereign Emperor, I will not do meaningless things." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor spoke slowly as he looked at Xiao Chun, sounding extremely distant. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was clearly right before Xiao Chun, but he felt like an ocean separated the two. The Heavenly Alliance? Xiao Chun had heard of the Heavenly Alliance before. This was a faction formed by the peak merchant associations of the Great Thousand Realms. Aside from this, there were many Grandmaster-level alchemists and blacksmiths, mysterious and strong. Ordinary people would find it very difficult to come into contact with the core existences of the Heavenly Alliance. That's right, the Heavenly Alliance. You should have heard of it before. Yes, I have. A Heavenly Alliance blacksmith helped me forge the saber in my hand. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor sighed softly. Oh, I did not expect to come into contact with it. Don't ask me. Let me ask you first. What kind of faction do you think is considered a super faction? Xiao Chun thought for a while before replying. In the northern region, the Divine Dragon Empire, the White Marsh Beast Empire, and the Heavenly Lodging Palace should be considered super factions. The 6 great demonic Tao sects and the 4 dynasties. Rank 7 sects should be considered super factions. Xiao Chun had experienced the strength of the Divine Dragon Empire for himself. Just the Heaven Dragon's outer palace gave Xiao Chun the impression that it was a colossus. Furthermore, there were 6 even stronger outer palaces and Ancestor Dragon City, with incredibly deep accumulations. If such factions were not considered super factions, then there would be no super factions. That's right. In your eyes, Rank 7 sects and the 4 dynasties can be considered super factions. However, in the eyes of sovereign emperors, aside from the heavenly incense, there are only 8 truly super factions in the martial epic's Great Thousand Realms. The Pirate Alliance, the Heavenly Alliance, the Universe Origin sect that controls the Tianwu dynasty, the Hidden Spirit Temple that controls the Yanwu dynasty, the Profound Heaven Holy Land that controls the Xinwu dynasty, the Bushin Palace that controls the 8 great empires, the Demonic Dao Hall that controls the Shu dynasty, and the Abyssal Underworld's Underworld God Hall. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor spoke tirelessly, revealing many secrets that Xiao Chun did not know. Since the birth of the martial epic, the power structure has changed many times. After every great war between the righteous factions and demonic factions, there would be a reshuffle. After the previous great war between the righteous factions and demonic factions, these 8 super factions now jointly manage the martial epic. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor looked at Xiao Chun and asked, "Do you know why I'm telling you all this?" Xiao Chun did not understand. "I want to broaden your horizons. I once told you that there is an existence behind the purple gold dragon emperor that you cannot offend. Actually, that is the Bushin Palace, the most ancient and mysterious existence among the 8 super factions." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's words deeply shocked Xiao Chun. This indeed surpassed his imagination. He found it hard to imagine that a rank 7 sect had such a terrifying faction behind it. What surprised Xiao Chun even more was that the Bushin Palace existed in this world as well. He wondered if the Kunlun Realm's Bushin Palace was related to the Bushin Palace of this great thousand realms. Before the 8 super forces, all the rank 7 sects are insignificant existences that can't even withstand a single blow. As a matter of fact, all the grade 6 and grade 7 sects that you can see are inextricably linked to the various super forces. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor paused for a while before continuing. For example, the Heavenly Alliance is behind Peach Blossom City. I can be so free and unfettered, occupying one of the rare treasured lands in the desolate sea, aside from my own strength, mostly because of the Heavenly Alliance. Shocking news came one after another. By now, Xiaochen was somewhat numb to it. He asked softly, "So City Lord is suggesting that I join the Heavenly Alliance?" The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor poured himself a cup of wine and smiled faintly. "Don't be so certain. It is still uncertain whether you can join the Heavenly Alliance or not. Naturally, the super factions will only take in the most talented and valuable cultivators of the martial epic. You are very strong, and your bloodline and comprehension ability are pretty good. However, do you know how vast the martial epic is? Just the central great realm alone already has as many geniuses as there are stars in the sky, not to mention the other astral regions. Although the outer regions do not have as much spiritual energy as the central great realm, they have many cultivators, at least 1,000,000 times more than the central great realm. As far as I know, you came to where you are now step by step from the outer regions. Can you guarantee that there will not be a second you in the outer regions?" The answer is certain. There will definitely be people comparable to you in the outer regions. Due to the sheer number of them, even in a remote and desolate astral region, there will still be powerful, outstanding talents. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's words made Xiao Chun enter deep thought. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's words indeed made sense. The main reason I want you to join the Heavenly Alliance is that, compared to the other super factions, the Heavenly Alliance is a merchant association. After all, compared to the disciples of the other super factions, the members of the Heavenly Alliance do not have as many restrictions and can choose to withdraw at any time. For example, right now, I have practically no connection to the Heavenly Alliance. Unless I need it, I will not go to the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor took a sip of wine and continued. The Heavenly Alliance's requirements for cultivators are not as strict as the other factions. For example, as long as I recommend you, you will qualify to participate in the Heavenly Alliance's selection. However, it will not be so easy for the other super factions. Of course, the most important reason why I want you to join the Heavenly Alliance is that I have not recommended anyone to join the Heavenly Alliance for many years already. Although I do not have a deep connection to the Heavenly Alliance, this is still a very embarrassing matter for me. I hope that you can help me gain face. After speaking for so long, it turned out that the last sentence was the main point. Xiao Chun smiled bitterly in his heart. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor really went around in circles. However, without going around in circles, it would be hard for Xiao Chun to gain a general understanding of the super factions. Chapter 2087. "What do you think?" the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor asked as he looked at Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun remained silent. This was somewhat different from what he had expected. Xiao Chun had come here to ask the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor some questions about the martial Tao. Who could have imagined that the other party would recommend him to join a super faction? Naturally, superpowers were extremely tempting to Xiao Chun. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's words opened a door to a new world for Xiao Chun. Previously, he had not expected such a strong super faction to exist in the world. Seeing that Xiao Chun did not say anything, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor continued. "As long as you enter a super faction, you will be able to experience the true charm of the martial epic. Everything you've experienced before is just child's play in front of a true powerhouse. If you can't join a superpower, you'll never be able to come into contact with the core stage of this world. It'll be a pity for a genius like you. If you had not been chased out of the Divine Dragon Empire, you would have entered Bushin Palace through Ancestor Dragon City. However, now, aside from the Heavenly Alliance, the other super factions should not accept you. The peach blossom sovereign emperor's words dispelled Xiao Qin's final hesitation. He said seriously, "I'm willing." When the peach blossom sovereign emperor saw Xiao Qin agree, he revealed a smile and put down his wine cup. "Good. You will be my disciple 7 days from now and head to Desolate City with me." Desolate City? You probably don't know that the force behind Desolate City is the Heaven Alliance, right? At that time, many rank 6 or even rank 7 factions in the Desolate Sea will send their disciples to participate in the test. There will also be many loose cultivators who will not miss out on this opportunity. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor said softly, surprising Xiao Qin again. It turned out that the Heavenly Alliance was behind Desolate City. Xiao Qin entered deep thought. No wonder the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor said that he might not be able to pass the test. Just the Desolate Sea alone had so many challenges. The central Great Realms' eastern, western, northern, and southern regions, as well as the 3 dynasties, would definitely have gathering spots like Desolate City to attract cultivators to take the test. Not everyone can participate in the assessment, right? There had to be a threshold for the assessment. Otherwise, the number of participants would be unimaginable. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor nodded and said, "Anyone under 500 years old and a sovereign personage can participate in the Heavenly Alliance's test. Even if you do not pass the test, as long as you have a certain level of performance, you will receive rewards from the Heavenly Alliance." At that time, there will probably be hundreds of thousands of cultivators taking the test. A few 100,000? When Xiao Qin heard this, he was shocked. This number really shocked him. It was a little too much. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor asked with a calm expression, "Are you very shocked?" Actually, there was nothing to be surprised about. Of the 8 super factions, the Heavenly Alliance was considered one of the weakest. However, the Desolate Sea's influence covered the entire Great Thousand Realms. There was a Desolate Sea stronghold in every astral cluster. Just like the Grave Sea cluster that you once stayed in, the Profound Light Temple is the base of the Hidden Spirit Temple, a super faction. The Purple Flame Sect is the territory of the Tianwu Dynasty's Universe Origin Sect. There are a total of 3,000 high-ranked astral domains, like the Grave Sea cluster in the Great Thousand Realms. This does not include some of the more chaotic astral domains. If you include them, there will be even more. Do you still think a few 100,000 is a lot? Not a lot. However, the threshold seems somewhat low. All sovereign personages under 500 years old can take the test. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor said, "In the martial epoch, normally speaking, those who can break through to sovereign personage after 500 years old will not be able to advance to Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperor. Those who advance to sovereign personage before 500 years old have the possibility of becoming Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperors. As long as one has the potential to become a Sovereign Emperor, the Heavenly Alliance will not let them off. The core force of the various super factions are the Sovereign Emperors. One Sovereign Emperor is worth more than 100,000 sovereign personages. Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperor. Another Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperor. Xiao Qin clenched his right fist tightly, and his blood surged somewhat. He recalled what the third Palace Master said, which coincided with the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperors. As long as Xiao Qin became a Sovereign Emperor, even the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor in the Divine Dragon Empire would not be able to pursue the matter. Ancestor Dragon City would even personally apologize to him. Furthermore, there has never been a lack of outstanding talents in the Great Thousand Realms. However, facts have proven that those who can become Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperors are mostly unknown existences. Many people only advance to sovereign personage at 200, 300, or even 400 years old. They continuously stabilized themselves, comprehended the great Tao of the world, and tempered their mental state. In the end, they easily advanced to Sovereign Emperor. Many powerful, outstanding talents who advanced to sovereign personage before 100 years old either incurred the jealousy of others or died prematurely. Otherwise, they were too conceited and became a burden on themselves. If their mental state was not strong enough, they would never be able to advance. The peach blossom sovereign emperor looked at Xiao Chun sternly. Hence, do not underestimate those late bloomers, able to maintain their composure in the sovereign personage realm. I said that you might not be able to pass the test this time, because if you run into those people who have been sovereign personages for more than 100 years, you might not be a match for them. Xiao Chen nodded to indicate his understanding. However, he felt somewhat doubtful. Finding it strange, he asked, does that mean that the super factions do not pay attention to outstanding talents? After all, most of those who become sovereign emperors are unknown existences. The peach blossom sovereign emperor could not help laughing. You can put it that way. However, if you can show that you have the potential to become a sovereign emperor, the effect will be different. This is because only the outstanding talents with astonishing talent and comprehension ability can advance to faux god after advancing to sovereign emperor. This is something far away from you for now. Just treat what I said as an eye-opener. Don't overthink it. Make your preparations. Come with me to Desolate City 7 days from now. Remember to adjust your mental state. All right. After leaving the pavilion, Xiao Chun looked at the blazing sun in the sky. This conversation nearly toppled Xiao Chen's entire worldview. The peach blossom sovereign emperor said not to overthink, but Xiao Chun still felt his hot-bloodedness surge, feeling excited. Xiao Chun, how is it? Old Chui asked softly as he arrived beside Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun recovered his wits and replied softly, I already promised the city lord that I would be his follower and participate in the Heavenly Alliance's test 7 days from now. Old Chui smiled and said, I knew that you would agree. Come, I'll bring you to the residence. There were many residences prepared for guests in Peach Blossom City, comparable to the residence of a sect. After Xiao Chun checked in, he started meditating and adjusting his mental state. The night passed. When the morning sun rose again, Xiao Chun felt much calmer. He was no longer as excited as before. Absolute calmness replaced it. Xiao Chun started to think about how to raise his strength to ensure that he could pass the Heavenly Alliance's test. He had already merged the first 3 moves of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique, resolving the mundane and entering hell. He needed to bring forward the next 3 moves, an immortal realm, 3 life flower, and merciless killing. The Heavenly Snow Divine Flame and the Universe Origin True Flame had just advanced to rank 5. He would not be able to find enough flame shards to nurture them in a short time. Xiao Chun wanted to see if he could use the Heavenly Alliance to exchange for similar flame resources when he entered the Heavenly Alliance. He had already cultivated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation to the 10th layer. The next 2 layers were progressively more difficult than the one before. For now, he could not see any hope of breaking through. He had already cultivated the Demonic Cloud Heaven-Swallowing Art to the 2nd layer. Unfortunately, he did not have much room to execute it. He had just gotten familiar with the state of cycle and needed to continue familiarizing himself with it. This was Xiao Chen's greatest trump card, so he could not relax. After thinking about it, the only things that could raise his strength in the short term were the 10,000 Dragons art and the 10,000 Dragons picture in his mind. Ever since he copied the 10,000 Dragons picture, Xiao Chun had not truly studied it. However, the 10,000 Dragons picture had strengthened the might of the Supreme Dragon Fist significantly. Brother Xiao, are you free? The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's disciples, Yun Fei and Lei Hao, are here to seek an audience. Just at this moment, 2 voices requesting an audience came from outside the door. Since they were the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's disciples, Xiao Chun had to meet them. It was possible that these 2 people would head to Desolate City with him. Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and he opened the door to receive the guests. There were 2 people standing outside the door. One of them had an ordinary appearance and was dressed in white, looking very simple. The other person was tall and stocky. He did not show any expression, but he gave off a strong sense of pressure. The plain-looking white-clad youth performed a cupped fist salute and said, I am Yun Fei. This is Lei Hao. Master sent us over to familiarize ourselves with Brother Xiao. This way, please. Indeed, as they chatted, Xiao Chun learned that these 2 would be heading to Desolate City with Xiao Chun to participate in the test. Aside from them, dozens of the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's disciples would be going as well. However, most of these people were just there to make up the numbers, to see the experts outside. The chances of them passing the test were not high. The ones that the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor truly held hope in were Yun Fei and Lei Hao. Of course, there was now the addition of Xiao Chun. Chapter 2088. For the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor to choose them, they definitely had something extraordinary about them. After inviting Yun Fei and Lei Hao in, Xiao Chun chatted with the two. He learned that while the two did not look old, they were already over 100 years old. This somewhat shocked Xiao Chun. Little brother Xiao Chun, why are you so shocked? We're the ones who should be shocked. It is very normal for a sovereign personage to reach 100 or 200 years old. Not everyone can compare to the outstanding talents of the sections. There are many ordinary people in this world. Of course, for us to advance to sovereign personage before 500 years old means that we are already extraordinary. Yun Fei smiled faintly when he saw Xiao Chen's expression. That made sense. Compared to a sovereign personage's long lifespan, 100 or 200 years was not even a tenth of that. They could be considered young. The big Lei Hao seemed somewhat inarticulate. He only listened to the two talk, not speaking much. After familiarizing themselves with each other, Xiao Chen discovered that the two had pretty good temperaments and were easygoing. The three chatted with each other and got along well. The unfamiliarity immediately disappeared. Even Lei Hao started to talk more, changing Xiao Chen's impression of him. Compared to the sect disciples, factions like Peach Blossom City did not seem to have much internal strife. The sect disciples were chosen in batches and eliminated at the very end. This was a meritocracy. The competition between the sects was intense. Most of them would hold back. After all, Peach Blossom City was not a sect. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor did not seem to like that, either. His two disciples were the same. Yun Fei said softly, I am skilled in the sword Dao. Now I only cultivate one sword technique, the 13 wind controlling swords. Xiao Chun found this strange. Only one sword technique? Secret techniques and killing moves? You don't cultivate them? The group started chatting about the martial techniques they cultivated. When Yun Fei mentioned himself, Xiao Chun felt shocked again. Yun Fei nodded and said, I cultivated them in the past. However, after I obtained the 13 wind controlling swords, I forgot about them. I only cultivated the 13 wind controlling swords. Unfortunately, I am not talented enough. After 100 years, I only managed to reach the 7th sword. Lei Hao's lips curled up as he said, If you are stupid, then there are no smart people in the world. Even Master praised you. Even after comprehending the 13 wind controlling swords for hundreds of years, he could not comprehend it. It's already unprecedented for you to be able to successfully cultivate it and even reach the 8th sword. Yun Fei smiled. He didn't say anything else. However, Xiao Chun thought to himself, a sword technique that can make a sovereign personage forget all other martial techniques must be very powerful. Lei Hao continued, I'm proficient in fist techniques and have grasped the great Tao of thunder. I also cultivate my physical body and have already condensed a thunder battle body. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. If this Lei Hao was proficient in saber techniques, he would be a carbon copy of himself. Brother Xiao Chun, what are you good at? Xiao Chun thought for a while before replying, I am skilled in the saber Dao and have grasped 2 other great Dao energies, thunder and ice. I also cultivate fist techniques. As for my physical body's vital qi, a casual strike can achieve 200 cauldron force. Yun Fei and Lei Hao were speechless. They exchanged glances with each other and smiled bitterly. No wonder Master let you participate in the test at such a young age. 3 great Dao, the force of 1 punch, and 200 cauldron force. TSK, a regular great perfection sovereign personage would not be a match for you. Yun Fei said as he looked at Xiao Chun. It's all right. Xiao Chun replied modestly. However, he did not show much emotion, as Yun Fei and Lei Hao both gave him a very strong feeling. These two were not ordinary great perfection sovereign personages. Furthermore, they were over 100 years old, and their cultivations were incredibly deep. Brother Yun, I'm very curious about your 13 wind controlling swords. Would you be willing to give me some pointers? Xiao Chen asked as he looked at Yunfei. He was truly curious about the charm of the 13 wind controlling swords. It could make Yunfei forget everything he learned in the past and focus only on this one sword technique. No problem. Yunfei agreed readily. The three arrived at the drill ground of the residence, and Xiao Chun and Yunfei landed there. After bowing, the two moved back 100 meters and cautiously looked at each other. Xiao Chun, you need to see Yunfei's first move. If you cannot, you might lose in 2 moves at most. Lei Hao, who was at the side, reminded Xiao Chun. So horrifying? Upon hearing that, Xiao Chun could not help but focus. His veritable essence energy surged in his entire body, and his great Tao energy stored up, waiting to be unleashed. Unlike Xiao Chun, who held his saber in his left hand, Yunfei carried his sword on his back. It was a simple blue sword. Xiao Chun could sense that aside from the sword Dao, Yunfei also excelled in the wind Dao. A sword technique should focus on speed, causing one to lose their life before they could see it clearly. Brother Xiao, I'm going to make my move. Yunfei smiled faintly. Right after he spoke, a sword appeared in his hand. Xiao Chun did not manage to see how the sword came out of its scabbard. The sword was 1 meter long and looked very plain. When Xiao Chun saw the blade clearly, he heard a melodious sword hum. In the next moment, a boundless sword intent erupted from the sword. A terrifying sword move instantly surged over. A cold light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes as Yunfei's sword arrived before him. Fast! This is simply too fast. Xiao Chun did not see how Yunfei's sword arrived before him at all. At the crucial moment, Xiao Chun drew his saber, and his aura erupted. Dragon roars rang out, and 3 kinds of Tao might layered on his body. In an instant, Xiao Chen suppressed aura's sword to its peak. However, Yunfei's sword was too fast. Xiao Chen only managed to draw his saber halfway before Yunfei's sword blocked it. Dang! When the tip of Yunfei's sword touched Yunfei's saber, Xiao Chun vaguely saw the image of a head formed by boundless strong winds roaring ferociously behind Yunfei. The other party immediately suppressed Xiao Chen's aura, forcing him to remain in the posture of drawing his tyrant saber halfway. The other party forced Xiao Chen back. A strong wind blew by Xiao Chen's ears. With every step back, he could feel the wind behind Yunfei increase in strength. Rumble! The strong wind swept through the entire drill ground. The formless wind seemed solid as it howled back and forth, stirring up the clouds in the sky. Even the sky darkened under the force of the gale. What a terrifying wind, great Tao! Using the sword to control the wind. If this continued, Xiao Chun would lose very sullenly. When Xiao Chen's aura was completely suppressed to rock bottom, he might lose to Yunfei's next sword strike before he could bring out many of his moves. Xiao Chen needed to draw his saber. However, once he did, the other party's sword strike would take advantage of the momentum to descend. Xiao Chen would instantly lose. However, if he did not draw his saber and continued to be suppressed, defeat was only a matter of time. Interesting. Xiao Chen's blood surged, and a boundless fighting spirit burned in his eyes. He had not encountered such a strong sword technique in a long time. Not only did the predicament before him not disrupt Xiao Chen's mental state, but also made him excited. His blood surged, and his fighting spirit soared. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiao Chen did not have much time to think. Should I draw my saber or not? This is simply a trap. Whether I draw it or not, I will lose. The best way to do this is to find another way. Whoosh! Xiao Chen's left hand, which held the scabbard, suddenly loosened, and the scabbard flew out. The instant the scabbard flew out, Xiao Chen's left hand ferociously smashed a palm strike on the saber. With the aid of this palm strike, Xiao Chen, who was originally suppressed and forced to retreat, instantly stabilized his footing. Amid a loud sound, Xiao Chen's palm strike knocked Yunfei back. However, the instant Yunfei was knocked back, he executed a second sword strike. This sword strike was twice as fast as the previous one, piercing toward Xiao Chun. Whoosh! Now that Xiao Chun was prepared, he managed to dodge it by a hair's breadth. However, just as he dodged, Yun Fei's third sword strike arrived. The speed of this sword strike was still twice as fast as the previous one. The scarier thing was that Xiao Chun discovered that not only was Yun Fei's every sword strike twice as fast as the previous one, but its might could also be stacked. After the third sword strike, Yun Fei stacked the second sword strike. A vast sword might pressed down on Xiao Chun. Even the air froze under this sword strike. As Xiao Chun moved his feet, he clearly felt a great pressure on his movement technique, slowing it down significantly. At this moment, unless Xiao Chun executed a secret technique, such as the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram, the candle dragon eyes, or the divine lightning eye, it would be very difficult to break out of this situation. However, that would be pointless. It would make him look like a sore loser. After dodging the third sword strike with much difficulty and waiting for Yun Fei to execute the fourth sword strike, Xiao Chun decisively chose to admit defeat. I admit defeat. Whoosh! Xiao Chun tossed the sword into the air, and it turned into a beam of light that returned to the scabbard on his back. The strong wind that made the world pale instantly vanished, and the pressure it brought vanished. Ha! Xiao Chun, you are really capable. To think that you can dodge 3 sword strikes in your first exchange. I thought you were going to lose in the second strike. Lei Hao walked over and said with admiration. This was because Xiao Chun was not even 100 years old and was only a small perfection sovereign personage. Furthermore, this was his first time coming into contact with a 13-wind controlling swords. To be able to dodge 3 sword strikes was already very impressive. After all, this 13-wind controlling swords was a supreme sword technique left behind by a sword god. Even the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had not comprehended it. Lei Hao, you're wrong. Just now, Xiao Chun had the chance to break my third sword. Yun Fei shook his head and corrected him. This time, it was Lei Hao's turn to be shocked. He looked at Xiao Chun incredulously and said, Old brother Xiao Chun, can you really break the third sword? Xiao Chun nodded and said, I know 2 secret techniques. One is a defensive secret technique that can block the full power strike of a peak sovereign personage. It's an eye bloodline technique that allows one to instantly burn their opponent's soul with the flame of the candle dragon. However, even if I execute it, I might not be able to block the 4th sword strike. I believe that Brother Yun Fei will have to use the 6th sword strike to determine the victor. That would not be necessary. After all, this is just an exchange of pointers, not a life-and-death battle. However, Yun Fei and Lei Hao felt comfortable hearing Xiao Chun's words. Their impression of Xiao Chun improved significantly. At the same time, there was no need for Xiao Chun to be overly competitive as a follower of the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. Let's stop here for today. Xiao Chun, I'll come and exchange pointers with you tomorrow. Let's fight to our heart's content. The sword technique that Yun Fei cultivates will not allow him to fight to his heart's content. If we exchange pointers, we will definitely fight to our heart's content. When Lei Hao saw Xiao Chun's strength and character, he felt tempted. He looked forward to exchanging moves with Xiao Chun. All right, it's a deal then. Xiao Chun smiled faintly and agreed straightforwardly. Chapter 2089. During these 7 days, Xiao Chun established a pretty good relationship with Yun Fei and Lei Hao. As they exchanged moves with each other, they benefited greatly. As for Yun Fei's 13-wind controlling swords, after exchanging moves many times, Xiao Chun could already easily endure the other party's 5th move. Xiao Chun had a rough understanding of the pros and cons of this sword technique. This sword technique was too unyielding and lacked room for maneuver. With less room to maneuver, he forced both his opponent and himself into a desperate situation. Even if Xiao Chun ran into a peak sovereign personage, he would be able to hold his own with this sword technique. This sword technique did not leave a path of retreat for himself or his opponent. The martial Dao focused on advancing both hard and soft. Such an extreme sword technique clearly could not be respected. However, based on what Yun Fei said, if one cultivated all 13 swords, one could also advance both hard and soft. However, before one reached consummation, one would not have much room for retreat. As for Lei Hao, Xiao Chun preferred exchanging moves with him. The other party was more than 200 years old. After becoming familiar with him, Xiao Chun addressed him as Big Brother Lei Hao. When the two fought, they could fight to their heart's content. They could bring out their strength without having to worry. This brought great benefits to both of them. They could improve each other in a hearty battle, discovering their own inadequacies. After 7 days, Xiao Chen's group arrived at the city lord's residence as arranged. Aside from the three, there were dozens of other disciples. These people were clearly much weaker than Yun Fei and Lei Hao. These disciples participated in the Heavenly Alliance's test to accumulate experience and obtain some other rewards. Soon, the Peach Blossom's Sovereign Emperor and Senior Chui appeared before the group of people. The Peach Blossom's Sovereign Emperor looked at Xiao Chen's group and nodded slightly. Then he said, "We do not know what day it is today, so I will not say more. At that time, just do your best and bring out your potential. Don't disappoint me." "We definitely will not disappoint, City Lord," the disciples below answered in unison. "All right, let's depart then." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor waved his hand, and a silver warship descended from the sky. This warship flickered with light, looking very dazzling under the sunlight. A 9-star heaven suspending warship. Just this warship alone was equivalent to that of an ordinary Sovereign Emperor. A heaven suspending warship that reached 7-star was not something that ordinary Sovereign Emperors could obtain. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's 9-star warship probably did not exceed 100 in the entire Great Thousand Realms. Xiao Chun felt somewhat surprised. It looked like the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor would be going with them. Given the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's status, he had to personally accompany the Heavenly Alliance's test. This meant that the standards of the Heavenly Alliance's test had reached a very high level. The interior of the 9-star heaven suspending warship was very spacious. Everyone had their own room, and the rooms were equipped with all sorts of facilities. Everything a martial artist needed could be found here. Not only was there a special spirit gathering formation in the cultivation room, but there was also a small mountain-sized pile of primeval heavenly pills for anyone to use. In the bedroom, there was a Buddhist incense burner that could calm one's mind and help nourish one's soul. With the speed of the 9-star battleship, it only took them 3 days to arrive at the desolate city, which was hundreds of millions of kilometers away. If Xiao Chun and the others relied on their own strength, they would need at least 1 or 2 months to reach Desolate City. Desolate City was at the easternmost end of the Desolate Sea. There was a true sea there. Past that sea was the territory of the 3 dynasties, which held the absolute luck of the entire Central Great Realm. "We've arrived. Everyone disembark." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor sent out a message. Xiao Chun, Yun Fei, and Lei Hao disembarked the warship at the same time. The moment they landed, they were shocked by a dazzling golden light in the distance. That was a boundless sea. When the setting sun shone on it, the afterglow of the setting sun covered the sea, making it shimmer and look dazzling. An ancient and vast city stood on the sea. Under the light of the setting sun, the city gave off a holy feeling. The glorious city looked like a vast nation. "Little brother Xiao, is this your first time seeing Desolate City?" Lei Hao asked softly as he stood beside Xiao Chun. As he looked at Desolate City, his eyes also filled with awe. However, he was not as shocked as Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun nodded and said, "Unexpectedly, there really is such a vast sea in the Desolate Sea." Yun Fei smiled and said, "This is the overflowing sea. Beyond this sea is the 3 dynasties. In the middle of this sea, in the center of this sea, there is a world gate that connects to the 7 great forbidden seas. It can be considered a sea of trade." No wonder the master of Desolate City was the Heavenly Alliance. As a faction formed by peak merchant associations, controlling such a city was simply too important. "Let's go. Master is already waiting for us." Right? Under the lead of the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor and Old Chui, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor cultivators headed for Desolate City. Along the way, the group met with several teams with the same goal as the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor, heading to Desolate City to participate in the Heavenly Alliance's test. Xiao Chun discovered that many of them were true inheritors of rank 6 sects, even rank 7 sects. Xiao Chun felt somewhat shocked at the strength of the Heavenly Alliance. To think that even rank 7 sects would send their disciples to join the Heavenly Alliance. Perhaps a super faction was even more horrifying than Xiao Chun imagined. He could not use ordinary standards to view them. Big Brother Peach Blossom, to think that you came personally. Brother Peach Blossom, it has been a long time. It's rare to see you again. Along the way, several sovereign emperors leading the teams showed surprise on their faces when they saw the Peach Blossom's sovereign emperor. Then, they rushed over to greet him. Although they were all sovereign emperors, these people were exceptionally respectful to the Peach Blossom sovereign emperor, filling them with awe. The Peach Blossom's sovereign emperor smiled and replied politely, but he did not say anything else. It was clear that the Peach Blossom's sovereign emperor was rather proud in his heart and would not be overly polite. The many teams headed for Desolate City in a grandiose manner. Xiao Chun took a quick look and estimated at least several thousand people. Most of them were sovereign personages under 500 years old. These were the people who came from the Desolate Sea to participate in the test. Furthermore, they were the early batch. If the participants from the outer sea clusters were included, the number of cultivators participating in the Heavenly Alliance's test would be much more than what the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor said. The competition seemed somewhat intense. There are really a lot of people, Lei Hao said softly, feeling somewhat unconfident. With a cursory look, there were not many weaklings. Xiao Chun did not know how many people the Heavenly Alliance would accept in the test. There are not many people who could say with confidence that they would definitely be chosen. Xiao Chun said calmly, "Big brother, calm down. I believe in your strength. You still stand a good chance." Lei Hao smiled helplessly and said, "I hope so. However, there is no specific time for the Heavenly Alliance's test. It might open once in 100 years. The next time might be 1,000 years later. If you miss it once, you might miss it for life." Although there were many people participating in the test, there were even more people heading for Desolate City. Desolate City could be considered one of the 10 most bustling cities in the entire Central Great Realm. It visited the overflowing sea, the 7 forbidden seas, the 3 dynasties in the distance, and the people from all walks of life in the eastern and northern regions. Normally, tens of millions of people lived in Desolate City. The number of people going in and out was even more uncountable. Even a sovereign emperor would feel insignificant before such a city. Come with me. Don't get lost. The Peach Blossom sovereign emperor did not choose to enter the city gates. Instead, he led the group to a heavily guarded Dao platform outside the city. This Dao platform was not open to outsiders. Only those with a special medallion could enter. When Xiao Chun looked back, he saw that all the people who came to take the test did not choose to enter the city gates. Instead, they all went to this Dao platform built on the mountainside. This Dao platform was not very large. However, it could accommodate 1,000 people at a time. When there were 1,000 people, the elders around the Dao platform activated the formation to activate the Dao platform. Among the crowd, Xiao Chun only saw a flash of light. In the next moment, the scene before him changed drastically. Then, he appeared on an even larger Dao platform. Xiao Chun was shocked to discover that this Dao platform was about the same size as the one in the Blue Dragon Ancient City. Of course, the most important thing was that this Dao platform floated in the air. The boundless starry heavens looked like one could pluck the stars just by stretching out one's hand. Peach Blossom, you are here. Many thrones floated in the starry heavens above the Dao platform. A purple-haired old man in the middle greeted the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor with a smile when he saw him. This old man exuded a vast and boundless might. The flame mark on his forehead deterred Xiao Chun from looking at him directly. Xiao Chun felt shocked. Could this purple-haired old man be a faux god? The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor nodded slightly. Then, he turned his head and said to Xiao Chun and the others, "You all stay on the Dao platform and wait for the test to begin. Old Chui and I will go over." Whoosh! The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor sat on one of the thrones in a low-profile manner. Old Shui stood beside him, but did not take a throne. More and more cultivators were sent over, one after another. They stayed behind with Xiao Chun and the others. The leading sovereign emperor flew into the starry heavens and sat on a throne. 1 hour later, more than 10,000 people filled the entire Dao platform. Many people guessed what the Heavenly Alliance's test would be like. At the same time, they felt shocked that so many people came to compete. Silence. The purple-haired old man suddenly said, and everyone immediately fell silent. Everyone looked at the purple-haired old man at the same time. Very good. I am Desolate City's city lord, Shangguan Yun. I am also the host of this Heavenly Alliance's test in Desolate City. There are 100 similar test zones in the Great Thousand Realms. This test has broken a record. More than 1 million sovereign personages came to compete for the Heavenly Alliance's test. 1 million sovereign personages. The crowd on the Dao platform immediately burst into a huge commotion, deeply shocked. Chapter 2090. More than 1 million? That's too exaggerated. I heard that there were only a few 100,000 people in the past few years. This is probably the Heavenly Alliance's test with the highest number of people since the previous Great War between the righteous factions and demonic factions. Difficult, difficult, difficult. With more than 1 million people, it will be even harder to enter the Heavenly Alliance. The number of 1 million incited a huge discussion. Even the sovereign emperors on their thrones in the starry heavens conversed with each other, appearing somewhat incredulous. The Peach Blossom sovereign emperor frowned slightly. Actually, he did not care about the Heavenly Alliance's test. Even if Xiao, Chun, Yun Fei, and Lei Hao did not enter the Heavenly Alliance, Xiao Chun would only be slightly disappointed. His emotions would not change much. In reality, the other sovereign emperors here were the Heavenly Alliance's outer circle elders. As long as they could bring disciples or members into the Heavenly Alliance, they would be rewarded. If Xiao Chun performed well, he could even continue climbing the ranks and enter the Heavenly Alliance's core elder circle. Unlike the other sovereign emperors, the Peach Blossom sovereign emperor did not care about this. Back then, he had been a core elder. Now that he had retired, he was already indifferent. However, when Xiao Chun heard the purple-haired old man say that there would be more than 1 million cultivators participating in this test, his expression immediately changed. Such a large number means that the martial epic has already recovered from the destruction of the previous war between the righteous factions and demonic factions, reaching a new peak. Since the Heavenly Alliance managed to recruit so many people, the other super factions will definitely be stronger. This is not a good thing. The Peach Blossom's sovereign emperor entered deep thought, but did not say anything to the other sovereign emperors. The purple-haired old man swept his gaze around, and the place fell silent once more. The old man said indifferently, "Now, let me explain. All the cultivators participating in the first stage of the Heavenly Alliance's test have to go to the Heavenly Alliance. You will be randomly teleported to a special secret realm and stay there for a month. There are a total of 100 mystic realms. You can attack without worry in these mystic realms. The secret realm's heavenly Tao rules will push you out at the moment of everyone's death, so your life won't be in danger. There are special spirit jades refined by my Heavenly Alliance in the secret realm. They contain the faux god mark, which cannot be faked. What you need to do is find the faux god spirit jades in there. The more, the better. After 1 month, if the faux god spirit jades you possess do not rank within the top 100 of your secret realm, you will not be able to participate in the second stage." Xiao Chun fell into deep thought. There were 100 special secret realms, which meant that each secret realm had about 10,000 people. To put it simply, one had to be ranked in the top 100 among the 10,000 people in order to participate in the next test. How ruthless! After the first round, only 10,000 people would remain, and 990,000 candidates would be eliminated. Lei Hao gasped when he heard this and said softly, "It's too cruel." Yun Fei said gravely, "Random teleportation. At that time, the 3 of us might not be in the same secret realm." Lei Hao's eyes lit up with fighting spirit. "No matter what, the 3 of us must pass this first stage. We'll meet again in the second stage. All right. Without giving the cultivators on the Tao platform much time to think, the purple-haired old man activated the Tao platform. After the dazzling white light, the more than 10,000 examinees on the platform disappeared at the same time. In the next moment, runes appeared on the platform, continuously condensing. Many light screens appeared on the Tao platform. There were exactly 100 light screens. The purple-haired old man casually waved his hand, and the light screens immediately expanded 1,000-fold. The light screens stood in the starry heavens, surrounding the many sovereign emperors seated on thrones. The light screens showed the scenes of the secret realms. As the examinees entered, not a single detail escaped the eyes of these sovereign emperors. At the same time, similar scenes played out in the other Heavenly Alliance test sites in the Great Thousand Realms. After the purple-haired old man did all this, he turned around and said with a smile, "We can rest for a while now. I hope that the disciples that everyone brought will not embarrass my desolate city. Same as before, I will reward anyone whose disciple passes the first stage. Little brother Peach Blossom, if I recall correctly, this is your first time personally leading a group here, right? Are there any disciples you are proud of this time?" Right after the purple-haired old man, Shangwan Yun, spoke, his gaze fell on the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. Clearly, the two had a close relationship. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor replied calmly, "I'm fine. I have not moved around for a long time, so I came out to take a look." Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor, back then, you contributed greatly to the Heavenly Alliance. You were one of the strongest sovereign emperors in the Heavenly Alliance. How come after you retired for so many years, not a single disciple has entered the Heavenly Alliance? No matter what, you were once a core elder of the Heavenly Alliance. You can't retire too thoroughly. The one who spoke was Sovereign Emperor Xingge. Back then, he had some conflict with the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. Back then, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor always suppressed him. It was rare for the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor to come personally, so he teased Xingge. Up until now, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had brought 10 disciples into the Heavenly Alliance. Among City Lord Shangwan Yun subordinates, he was considered the most incredible. When comparing the two, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor, who had no accomplishments, did not have any advantage. The purple-haired old man smiled and said, "Xingge did not let us down. He did not embarrass my desolate city too much in the Heavenly Alliance's test. Peach Blossom, you have to pay more attention to this matter. After all, if the Heavenly Alliance wants to continue developing, it needs fresh blood. In terms of outstanding talents, we are too far behind the other super factions. If we cannot even compare to the new disciples, the Heavenly Alliance will fall sooner or later." Lord Shangwan is right. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor felt helpless in his heart. However, this purple-haired old man was a peak faux god expert, the one who once led the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had no choice but to submit to this purple-haired old man. Seeing the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor so humble made Sovereign Emperor Xing go very cocky. "Peach Blossom, don't mind it too much. In recent years, Xingge had indeed made a lot of achievements. He had to be a role model. It is rare for you to come here. Don't mind him too much. Just give in to him." The purple-haired old man's voice projection rang out in the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's mind. "I know. Don't worry, my lord." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor casually replied. However, the purple-haired old man's comforting words upset the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor, causing his expression to turn slightly unsightly. "Elder Chui, where are Yun Fei and the others?" Elder Chui pointed at the light screens and said, "Xiao Chun is in Secret Realm 97, Yun Fei is in Secret Realm 98, and Lei Hao is in Secret Realm 100. Right now, everyone is familiarizing themselves with the environment, and the rankings haven't been released yet. Not only could the light screen show the participants in the Secret Realm, but it could also show the ranking of all the participants. Inside Secret Realm 97, Xiao Chun found himself in an ancient, dilapidated city. When he looked around, the entire Secret Realm looked boundlessly vast. There was not a single person in sight. Of course, he did not know if there were people hiding. Participant Xiao Chun, hello. I am a manager of Secret Realm 97. As Xiao Chun familiarized himself with the environment, a small light figure made of energy essence appeared before him. The light gave off a faint divine might. Hello, the confused Xiao Chun replied softly. The small light figure's mechanical voice continued. Every one of you can enjoy my service. I can provide you with your ranking in the Secret Realm. I can give you a map of the Secret Realm and tell you the ranking of the others. If you feel that your life is in danger, you can get me to send you out. However, the faux god spirit jades on you will remain in this Secret Realm the moment you leave. Xiao Chun entered deep thought. It looks like this Secret Realm should be a world created by a faux god. The small light figure before Xiao Chun was like an item spirit. However, it was much stronger than a regular item spirit. Participant Xiao Chun, I wish you good luck. After leaving Xiao Chun a map, the small light figure vanished. Xiao Chun unfurled the map and discovered that it showed not only the terrain of the entire Secret Realm, but also the hiding techniques of the faux god spirit jades. As Xiao Chun looked at the locations marked with the faux god spirit jades, he could imagine what kind of intense killing would occur. The locations with the faux god spirit jades might have other dangers. Xiao Chun could sense the auras of terrifying, ferocious beasts hidden in the Secret Realm, aside from the auras of human cultivators. However, compared to ferocious beasts, human cultivators were clearly more threatening. The rule of the entire first stage was to force the participants to kill each other and snatch the faux god spirit jades from each other. Just by searching, one would not be able to obtain the top 100 out of 10,000 people. I have 1 month. There is no need to rush. Xiao Chun made up his mind. He decided to bide his time and observe quietly. Chapter 2091. City Lord. The person with the best result among Peach Blossom City's disciples is Yunfei. He is already ranked 5,000th in Secret Realm 98. Lei Hao is slightly weaker, ranked 7,000th or so. As for Xiao Chun, he is 9,000th or so. He did not obtain many faux god spirit jades. There's no rush. It has only been 3 days. We can't make out much. However, I have high hopes for Yunfei. Although this stage is cruel, I believe that he can clear it. The 13 wind controlling swords gives him an advantage over these sovereign personages. Xiao Chun is still too young. The examinees who came to take the test this time are still too young. The main participants are great perfection sovereign personages 300 or 400 years old. There are very few who are under 100 years old. There's no rush for Xiao Chun. He is still 50 years old and does not fight. He will definitely get a second chance. 3 days had passed since the first stage of the test. The Peach Blossom, Sovereign Emperor, and Senior Chui discussed the 3 disciples they valued the most. However, they could not make out much in these 3 days. Many experts were familiarizing themselves with the environment of the Secret Realm and would not rush to make a move. The current rankings did not matter too much. The changes happened too quickly. Soon, 10 days had passed since the first stage of the test. Of course, to these sovereign emperors sitting on their thrones in the starry heavens, 10 days was just the blink of an eye. Given their long lifespans, they had developed a patience that others did not have. 1/3 of the test had already passed. The sovereign emperor's presence started to make some progress. The rankings of the top cultivators in many secret realms were already fixed. Among them, many dazzling experts left a deep impression on the sovereign emperor's presence. This secret realm 8's Wu Ming is really strong. Meeting him is simply a nightmare for the other participants. So far, no one has lasted more than 10 moves against him. The weaker ones could not even last 3 moves. Wu Ming is also very murderous. Several people fell for his moves too quickly. The realm spirit nearly failed to rescue him. Secret Realm 50's Shi Mingxian is also incredible. There are many good seedlings this time. Unfortunately, each secret realm can only pick 100 people in the first stage. Everyone, don't rush to conclusions. It has only been 10 days. The sovereign emperors discussed among themselves. However, the purple-haired old man showed an unsightly expression. because he found that among the 100 secret realms, only a few of the top examinees were from the Barren City assessment area. This was the largest test in history. If the desolate city couldn't even compare to some of the outer regions, it would be a great loss of face. Furthermore, Desolate City was one of the top 10 cities in the Heaven Alliance out of the 100 test zones. Fortunately, some of Xing-Ji's disciples were rather eye-catching. One of them was ranked in the top 3 in the 6th secret realm and had the strength to fight for first place. City Lord Yunfei is starting to show off. He's already in the top 1,000. Old Shui kept an eye on the secret realm, where Xiao Qin's group was, reporting their rankings to the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. Lei Hao has also made it to the top 3,000, but Xiao Qin... What's wrong with Xiao Qin? The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor asked, finding this strange. Elder Shui said hesitantly, Xiao Qin's strength is declining instead of improving. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor could not help saying, not advancing, but retreating instead? He was already ranked more than 9,000. How could he retreat? Let me see. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's gaze fell on a light screen for Secret Realm 97. The last place was Peach Blossom City's Xiao Chun, ranked 9873. As for the 100-odd people, they were all eliminated. Now, only 9,873 participants remained in Secret Realm 97. Brother Peach Blossom, what's going on? Even if you are not paying attention, there's no need to be so half-hearted. Your disciple is actually ranked last. This is the Heavenly Alliance's test. All the powerhouses of the Heavenly Alliance are watching. Xinggu casually glanced at the light screen and discovered the ranking of Secret Realm 97. Then, he immediately pretended to reprimand Xiao Chun. After Xinggu said that, the surrounding sovereign emperors immediately cast their gazes on Secret Realm 97. Xiao Chun, this person seems to be only 47 years old. He is rather young. A 47-year-old, small perfection, sovereign personage. Even in a rank 7 sect, he would be an elite among elites. However, he is still too young. Compared to the other mature sovereign personages, there is still a large gap. Indeed, most of the people participating in the Heavenly Alliance's test are 300-year-old or 400-year-old great perfection sovereign personages. This is indeed difficult. He is a good seedling. We should let him participate in the Heavenly Alliance's test after he is 100 years old. After all, he is too young. Whether he can be relied on is a problem, right? The accomplishments before 100 years old are too flashy, like the moon reflected in the water. One can truly see some things only after 100 years old. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor is too impatient. Out of consideration for the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's prestige, the surrounding sovereign emperors did not say anything unpleasant when they discussed in whispers. This evaluation was rather objective. If it was any other imperial monarch that had enmity with imperial monarch Xinggu, then the imperial monarch might say something unpleasant at this moment. However, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had a cold and proud personality. Even though these were objective evaluations, he felt somewhat uncomfortable. However, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was someone who did not care about fame and wealth. While he felt uncomfortable, he did not pay too much attention to it. Old Shui, do you think I was too impatient and overestimated Xiao Chun? Isn't this harming Xiao Chun? The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor ignored the discussions of Sovereign Emperor Xinggu and the other sovereign emperors. Instead, he felt somewhat worried about whether Xiao Chun could endure this blow. After all, Xiao Chun was still a youth. He had traveled from the outer region until now and had not seen anything truly grand. Suddenly, Xiao Chun was tossed into the Heavenly Alliance's test to participate in the sovereign personage competition of the entire Great Thousand Realms. If Xiao Chun could not adapt and lose confidence, his mental state would not be able to endure it. That would be a huge problem. Old Shui did not know what to say. He could only console the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. Xiao Chun is a pretty good child. His mental state is much better than that of the other youths. There should not be any problems. City Lord, there is no need to worry. I hope so. At this moment, in Secret Realm 97, in the same dilapidated city, Shao Chun sat cross-legged with his eyes closed, cultivating the 10,000 dragons picture. For the past 10 days, Shao Chun had not moved at all, remaining in this dilapidated city. This dilapidated ancient city was incredibly remote, and there were no faux god spirit jades. During the past few days, Shao Chun had seen many figures flying in the air. However, no one noticed Shao Chun in the city. In reality, there was nothing worth paying attention to. Whoosh! A scarlet figure flew over in the sky. It was Shao Chun's demonic pet, the demon blood vulture. The demon blood vulture circled around before landing. Shao Chun opened his eyes, and the demon blood vulture appeared before Shao Chun. Then, it opened its beak and spat out a few spirit jades, radiating divine light. Although Shao Chun had not moved during the past 10 days, he had relied on the demon blood vulture to familiarize himself with his secret realm. It was as Shao Chun guessed. Most places with faux god spirit jades had ferocious beasts. Some ferocious beasts even had faux god spirit jades in advance. After killing them, one would obtain a large number of faux god spirit jades. Now, nearly all the faux god spirit jades that could be found on the map were gone. In the remaining 20 days, there was only one way to obtain more faux god spirit jades: snatch them. The curtains to the true tragic battle were about to officially begin. I have already waited too long to rest and build up my strength for 10 days. A brilliant light flashed in Shao Chun's eyes as he toyed with the faux god spirit jades that the demon blood vulture delivered. Then, he muttered to himself, "It is time to take action." Shao Chun spread out his spiritual sense. Then, he sensed cultivators within 50,000 kilometers. Shao Chun sensed those with the most faux god spirit jades. The light coming from their bodies intensified. As long as one carried faux god spirit jades, one could forget about hiding in this secret realm. It is. Someone within 50,000 kilometers shone with a bright light. Shao Chun estimated that there were at least 3,000 faux god spirit jades on him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Shao Chun's figure flashed. After 15 minutes, he found his target on a mound. That was a black-clad, great perfection sovereign personage. He leaned leisurely on a rock with a sword stabbed into the ground, easily within reach. This black-clad man was in no rush to take the initiative to attack. The faux god spirit jades on him would attract many participants. He could no longer remember how many fearless people came over to snatch his faux god spirit jades. However, this black-clad man ended up killing them instead, increasing the number of faux god spirit jades on him. The black-clad man glanced around and saw Shao Chun on the mound. He could not help smiling. Interesting. To think that a small perfection sovereign personage is targeting me. Scram far away. I have no interest in playing with you, Popper. The black-clad man's soul energy detected no light coming from Shao Chun's body. With one look, it was clear that someone had already ransacked him. Such trash was worthless. The black-clad man could not even be bothered to look at him. This was a great perfection sovereign personage who comprehended the sword Great Tao. His sword intent was very strong, but he was still far from comprehending a Tao domain. Compared to Yin Fei, this black-clad man was at least 50% weaker. Given his carelessness, he should be able to deal with him in 2 moves. On the mound, Shao Chun's expression did not change as he quickly made a rough estimate of the other party's strength. A technique, Candle Dragon Eyes. A candle dragon image immediately appeared behind Shao Chun. In the next moment, a boundless, cold candle flame started burning on the black-clad man without any warning. Kassier. Nearly at the same time the black-clad man executed the eye technique, Shao Chun leaped forward. Before the black-clad man could scream, a resplendent saber light appeared on his neck. In the next moment, blood spurted out like a fountain. You. The black-clad man looked at Shao Chun in horror. Never in his wildest dreams would he have imagined that the seemingly weak Shao Chun would erupt with such strong combat prowess. However, it was already too late. The black-clad man's body slowly immaterialized as the realm's spirit sent him out. After the black-clad man was sent out, a large pile of faux god spirit jades flickering with a divine nature remained in the air, a total of 3,800 pieces. Shao Chun sheathed his saber and gently beckoned. Without standing on ceremony, Shao Chun put all the faux god spirit jades into his storage ring. Then, he calmly searched for his next target. Up in the starry heavens on the Tao platform, the somewhat dispirited old Chui's expression suddenly changed. He rubbed his eyes and looked around 3 times before daring to confirm it. City Lord, this is incredible. What's wrong? Why are you making such a big fuss? Shao Chun, is he eliminated? No, I saw his name jump 800 places earlier. Then, it jumped another 1,000 places. He is already in the top 3,000. This news startled the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor when he heard it. Half a day ago, Shao Chun was still ranked last. How could it be so exaggerated in just half a day? When the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor looked at the light screen for number 97, he was shocked to discover that Shao Chun's name had jumped again. Shao Chun's name had jumped from the top 3,000 to the top 1,500. Am I seeing things? Or is there something wrong with the Realm Spirits ranking? The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor felt some disbelief. Chapter 2092. Everyone look. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's follower jumped by 5,000 ranks in half a day. Just as the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor suspected that he saw wrong, the other Sovereign Emperors on the thrones in the starry heavens cried out in shock. After all, everyone had a rather deep impression of Shao Chun. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's follower was ranked last. Furthermore, Shao Chun was so young. It was impossible not to have an impression of him. Anyone would be shocked to find out that the person who had been ranked last had suddenly jumped to the top 2,000th place. How strange. How'd he do it? This is too shocking. He jumped by 5,000th rank in half a day. Was he hiding his strength all this while? That is very possible. However, even if he was hiding his strength, he should not have jumped by 5,000th rank in half a day. This is too exaggerated. It is still jumping. He is already ranked 1,800th. My goodness. How long has it been since we spoke? This. Lord Shangwan, please adjust Secret Realm 97 to Shao Chun's scene. Everyone here was a sovereign emperor and had seen many major scenes. Many things were no longer strange. The Heavenly Alliance's test had taken place several times already. However, they had never seen such a strange scene before. Shao Chun's ranking jumped so quickly that no one could react. The most crucial thing was that the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's follower was only 47 years old. If one counted carefully, Shao Chun was probably the youngest of the participants in this test. The many Sovereign Emperors immediately requested the purple-haired old man to get Secret Realm 97's Realm Spirit to lock the light screen on Shao Chun. Previously, the Realm Spirit controlled the light screen. However, if the purple-haired old man interfered, he could get the Realm Spirit to lock the light screen on a specific participant. Peach Blossom, your follower is rather interesting. After he comes out, introduce him to me. The purple-haired old man smiled and fulfilled everyone's wish, locking the light screen on Shao Chun. Definitely. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor smiled faintly. Initially, he did not hold much hope for Shao Chun. To think that he managed to attract Lord Shangwan's attention, gaining some face for the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. This was great. Even if Shao Chun did not pass the test, the purple-haired old man had the authority to let him enter the Heavenly Alliance. Of course, this was only a possibility. Emperor Xinggu pursed his lips and said, "It's no big deal. I didn't even make it into the top 1,000. At the end of the month, whether or not I'll be able to make it into the top 100 is still a question. My disciple, Nangong Feng, already made it into the top 10 in Secret Realm 10. He will definitely pass this stage." The purple-haired old man, Shangwan Yun, smiled and said, "Xinggu, you can't say that. The most important thing about Shao Chun was that he was young. He was not even 100 years old, but he already had such strength. Compared to the other factions, our Heavenly Alliance lacks such powerful demonic geniuses. If he really has perseverance, even if he does not show any results now, he would be worth the Heavenly Alliance nurturing. After all, compared to the other superpowers, the Heavenly Alliance was only an alliance formed by a group of peak chambers of commerce. Although the Heavenly Alliance was already in existence that superpowers could not afford to underestimate, the Heavenly Alliance was still in existence that could not be underestimated. However, in terms of accumulations of the martial Dao, the Shu dynasty's demonic Dao Hall, the Underworld God Hall, the Tianwu dynasty's Universe Origin Sect, the Yinwu dynasty's Hidden Spirit Temple, the Xinwu dynasty's Profound Heaven Holy Land, and the Bu-Shin Palace that controlled the 8 great empires. Naturally, the Heavenly Alliance was not as attractive to powerful demonic geniuses. Look, Shao Chun is now ranked 900th. Just at this moment, the scene of Shao Chun killing a great perfection sovereign personage appeared on the light screen for Secret Realm 97. Densely packed, faux God Spirit Jades immediately filled the light screen with the starry heavens. The eliminated person who was sent out before he died left behind a sky full of faux God Spirit Jades. This scene was very shocking. Shao Chun, who was below, stretched out his hand and collected all the faux God Spirit Jades. Then, his ranking jumped up. Shao Chun charged into the top 1,000, rising to 900th. So that is the case. His Spirit Jades are all obtained by killing experts and robbing them. What a domineering brat. This was probably his plan from the start. He let the others search for Spirit Jades first and fight for them first. Then, he rested and built up his strength. When most of the Spirit Jades in the Secret Realm are gone, he will make his move and kill whoever has the most Spirit Jades. Ha ha ha. This little fellow Shao Chun has the air of the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor from back then. He is direct and decisive. What an interesting fellow. This is also based on his own strength. If he dared to do this without being strong enough, he would have been killed long ago. How incredible. Who could have imagined that he would charge into the top 1,000? Xinggu, who had just said that Shao Chun was nothing, not even entering the top 1,000, showed a stunned expression, immediately feeling embarrassed. Although the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was not as petty as Xinggu, the more indifferent the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was, the more upset Xinggu felt. Right now, this Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor must be mocking me in his heart, Sovereign Emperor Xinggu thought indignantly. Damn it, why hasn't someone come and killed this fellow yet? Is everyone in Secret Realm 97 trash? City Lord, Yun Fei's and Lei Hao's results are pretty good. The two of them also made it into the top 1,000. This is especially so for Yun Fei. He already made it into the top 300. It looks like he has a good chance of making it into the top 100. Old Shui took some time to pay attention to the results of the other participants in Peach Blossom City before reporting the good news to the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor smiled faintly and said, "Not bad. It was worth it." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had been very indifferent in the first place. He already felt very satisfied with these unexpected results. This was how the human heart was. When one was content, one would always be happy. Sovereign Emperor Xing Ji's disciples all made it into the top 10, but he did not feel happy at all. Inside the Secret Realm, after Shao Chun reached the 900th rank, his rankings started to slow. The Secret Realm was filled with sovereign personages in the first place. Those who could enter the top 1,000 were all experts without exception. They all had many faux God Spirit Jades. Shao Chun could not surpass them in a short time. Furthermore, Shao Chun had been inconspicuous at the start, which was why he managed to succeed. However, Shao Chun's ranking now jumped wildly, jumping more than 8,000 places from the last to the top 1,000. This had already caused a huge commotion in Secret Realm 97. It was no longer possible for him to keep a low profile. Shao Chun called out to the realm spirit in his heart. Immediately, a small light figure giving off a divine light appeared before him. Congratulations, participant Shao Chun. You jumped from the bottom to the 900th rank in half a day. Earlier, I received a request from Desolate City's City Lord. The light screen for Desolate City's Test Zone 97 has already locked onto you. After the realm spirit appeared, It spoke before Xiao Chun could say anything. When Xiao Chun heard that, he felt slightly stunned. Being noticed was not a bad thing. Thank you. However, there is no need to congratulate me. It is pointless if I do not enter the top 100. The little light figure corrected Xiao Chun. Even if you do not enter the top 100, you still deserve to be congratulated. After the competition, you can exchange your faux God Spirit Jades for all sorts of resources and treasures from the Heavenly Alliance. Why do you think everyone risked their lives to protect their faux God Spirit Jades? Even if you do not exchange them, you can absorb them for many benefits. Furthermore, do you think it is that easy to enter the top 100? All the sovereign personages of the Great Thousand Realms are gathered here. Those who can enter the top 100 in any secret realm are absolute experts among experts, existences who can preside over an astral region. It turned out that the faux God Spirit Jades had such wondrous uses. In that case, even if one did not enter the top 100, it would not be a loss. Xiao Chun nodded and said, "Coincidentally, I called you out to see who the people in the top 100 are." The little light figure said softly, "All right, I will tell you how many faux God Spirit Jades the top 100 participants have, their cultivation, the weapons they use, their appearance, and their age. However, I cannot provide you with any other information." "All right, that is enough. Sorry for the trouble." Soon, the little light figure presented the information of the top 100 participants in Secret Realm 97 to Xiao Chun. After Xiao Chun looked through the list carefully, his expression turned somewhat grave. These were the top 100 participants. Most of the participants in the top 100 were peak sovereign personages, and they were more than 300 years old. Many of them were more than 400 years old, at least 10 times older than Xiao Chun. However, the people in the top 100 who had not reached peak sovereign personages could not be underestimated either. For these people to be able to push other peak sovereign personages out of the top 100, they definitely had something extraordinary about them. They might even have comprehended a Dao domain. The one that caught Xiao Chun's attention was the person ranked first. That person had a startling number of faux God Spirit Jades, more than 2 million, double that of the person in second place. Gong Liangyu. Xiao Chun wondered how this person obtained his faux God Spirit Jades. Xiao Chun looked at his own faux God Spirit Jades. He barely had 100,000, 20-odd times less than the person in first place. Even the last 100 had more than 400,000 faux God Spirit Jades. He still had a long way to go. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had said the same thing about the little light figure. This was a test from the entire Great Thousand Realms, a grand scene that he had never experienced before. This was a completely different experience from the arena battles that he had experienced in the past. This was not a stage for people of the same generation. Being young was Xiao Chun's greatest disadvantage. There was no need to say that this was unfair. This was the Heavenly Alliance's rules. One could come back in a few hundred years. Since one was already here, one should not complain about being wronged. Can you tell me how this Gong Liangyu obtained the faux God Spirit Jades he has? Xiao Chun asked the little light figure, sensing that this person had an abnormal amount of faux God Spirit Jades. The little light figure explained. He killed the 10 strongest ferocious beasts in the secret realm. At the same time, 10 peak sovereign personages died at his hands. Now, no one dares to offend him. I advise you not to target him. What a ruthless person. Someone is heading towards you. Good luck. The little light figure vanished. Xiao Chun looked around and could not help frowning slightly. There were a total of 5 groups of people, and each group had at least a dozen examinees. It seemed that the abnormal jump in his ranking had caused some trouble. Chapter 2093. Whoosh. Not long after the little light figure vanished, figures flickered in Xiao Chun's vision. In the next moment, 60-odd participants appeared before Xiao Chun. Peach Blossom City's Xiao Chun? The light on his body is very strong. He probably has at least 100,000 faux God Spirit Jades. That's more than all of us combined. He truly lives up to being someone who jumped more than 8,000 ranks in one day. When the close to 70-odd participants arrived before Xiao Chun, greed appeared in their eyes. The leader of the group wore blue robes and held a sword. He showed a ferocious expression as he said, "Cut the crap." If you want to remain in this secret realm, hand over all the faux God Spirit Jades on you. The 70-odd participants' auras merged into one. Their Tao might spread out, appearing very vast and terrifying. Countless auras locked onto Shao Chun. As long as he made any strange movements, all sorts of killing moves would await Shao Chun. Shao Chun took a quick look and felt somewhat disappointed. Even the strongest 5 of these people did not rank in the top 1,000. Can more people decide the outcome of the battle? Shao Chun smiled faintly, and a dragon roar erupted from his body. This dragon roar shook the surroundings. At the same time, Shao Chun's blue dragon divine might spread out together with this dragon roar. The 3 layers of Tao might behind him layered over each other, making his dragon might look solid and very impactful. Compared to this, the opponent's seemingly massive aura and stacked layers of Tao might were like paper. The aura that Shao Chun erupted with easily shattered the other side's aura. The group of people immediately turned somewhat flustered. They were forced to scatter and stabilize their auras. However, Shao Chun's attack was already like a great flood or ferocious beast. How could he give them a chance to regain their auras? Die. None of you can leave. An indistinct 10,000 dragons picture appeared behind Shao Chun. Then he shouted and quickly executed the Supreme Dragon Fist. Right now, Shao Chun's execution of the Supreme Dragon Fist was completely different from when he executed it in the Divine Dragon Empire. As Shao Chun attacked, he executed 3 moves of the Supreme Dragon Fist, Heart of Clouds and Water. The mighty group of dragons roamed the heavens and the earth, ascending to the heavens and diving into the sea. Who was supreme? In the 4 seas and 8 wastelands, the dragons were leaderless. The world was unfair, and the evil dragon was in power. How could he be respected? Bad luck, life as thin as paper. What is a supreme being? What is a venerable being? I am the supreme. Only I am supreme. When Shao Chun executed the Supreme Dragon Fist, he combined it with his surging, killing chi and the 10,000 dragons picture in his mind. The 60-odd great perfection, sovereign personages were mercilessly suppressed by Shao Chun, unable to advance or retreat. 10,000 dragons soared into the sky, following him like shadows. He couldn't leave even if he wanted to, and he couldn't win even if he wanted to. The rage in the sky was the heaven dragon roaring. The murderous chi filling the sky was the hot-bloodedness burning in Shao Chun's body. Die, die, die. Miserable shrieks rang out. The realm spirit continuously sent out participants, leaving behind faux god spirit jades. Shao Chun turned into a killing god, moving like a roaming dragon. As electric light flashed, he continuously punched, chasing after the participants who tried to flee. When Shao Chun punched, 10,000 dragons roared. The sky shook, the ground trembled, and mountains and rivers exploded. This group of people, who were already frightened out of their wits, could not block the berserk Shao Chun at all. Run, run, run. Just a moment ago, these people were incredibly arrogant, wanting Shao Chun to hand over their spirit jades. In the next moment, they fell into hell, screaming endlessly. When the several participants in the distance saw this scene, their bodies trembled slightly, horror appearing in their eyes. How ruthless! It is best not to casually offend this person. For him to jump more than 8,000 ranks in one day, how can he be someone that can be trampled on? Indeed, these fellows are too naive. When they saw that Shao Chun was only a small perfection sovereign personage, they wanted to come and bully him. The facts have proven that the lower the cultivation of the people in the top ranks, the more terrifying they are, just like the great perfection sovereign personages in the top 100. At the same time, the sovereign emperors watching the light screen in desolate cities' starry heavens felt shocked. That is the Supreme Dragon Fist. It is one of the 3 strongest offensive martial techniques in the world. How incredible! The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor really chose a powerful demonic genius this time. He is too strong. Letting him participate in the Heavenly Alliance's test was the right decision. Such a powerful, outstanding talent can only truly grow after experiencing such battles. That's right. The Heavenly Alliance's test gathers all the sovereign personage experts of the Great Thousand Realms. Even if he loses in the end, it will be very beneficial to this Shao Chun. When Sovereign Emperor Xing Gu heard the group of sovereign emperors praising the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's choice of disciple, he showed an unsightly expression, feeling upset in his heart. These fellows only know how to flatter the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. Even when my disciple, Nangong Feng, made it into the top 10, I did not hear you say that. Up on the light screen, Shao Chun withdrew his hand and collected all the scattered faux god spirit jades in the air. Shao Chen's ranking jumped from 900 to 800. Now that he was in the top 1,000, it would be somewhat difficult for him to make such a large jump like before. Shao Chun was already very satisfied with advancing 100 ranks. One got away. After collecting the faux god spirit jades, Shao Chun looked around and discovered that it was the ferocious-looking blue-clad cultivator who shouted at him at the start. After him, Shao Chen's figure flashed, and he executed Light of Freedom. Then, he turned into a lightning bolt and gave chase. Damn it! Damn it! The blue-clad sovereign personage wiped off the blood at the corner of his lips. As he looked at Shao Chun, who was chasing after him, he cursed continuously. The blue-clad sovereign personage had not expected a small perfection sovereign personage to erupt with such terrifying combat prowess. Not only that, but the combat experience that the blue-clad sovereign personage showed was also seasoned and calm, surpassing that of these sovereign personages who were only a few hundred years old. The blue-clad sovereign personage was truly a 47-year-old small perfection sovereign personage. Pusiai, the blue-clad cultivator, who was concerned about whether he could escape from Shao Chun, suddenly discovered a spear stabbed into his chest. A terrifying force surged out from the spearhead. This force would destroy his physical body in the next moment. At the crucial moment, the realm spirit made a move and directly sent the blue-clad sovereign personage out. Whoosh! Shao Chen's figure appeared, and his gaze fell on a spear-wielding cultivator in front. This person had soared through the air and instantly killed the blue-clad sovereign personage with one spear strike, snatching away Shao Chen's target. This person exuded an aura that far surpassed that of a great perfection sovereign personage. The strong aura contained an even stronger sovereign personage will. A sharpness radiated from this person's face, deterring others from looking directly at him. A peak sovereign personage. This spearman before Shao Chun was a peak sovereign personage. Shao Chun recalled for a while and knew who this person was. Being C Cluster's Qiangying. This person ranked 358th on the list that the little light figure gave Shao Chun. He was a peak sovereign personage, and there was a portrait of him on it. Qiangying held a black spear in his hand as he slowly collected the scattered faux god spirit jades in the air. However, his gaze remained fixed on Shao Chun. Qiangying's gaze contained strong pressure. Just a single glance was enough to make one feel an overwhelming pressure bearing down on them. Shao Chun knew that this was the pressure from the difference in cultivation. Unfortunately, although Shao Chen's cultivation was not high, his will of soul already rivaled that of a peak sovereign personage. Under the boundless pressure of the other party's aura, Shao Chen's expression did not change as he calmly looked at the other party. Since coming out of the land of the Blood Moon, Shao Chun had not met such a strong opponent before. Shao Chen's breathing turned somewhat ragged. It was not nervousness but excitement. He discovered that he had started to like this secret realm. This was the place of battle that Sang mentioned. This is interesting. Brother Peach Blossom, this little fellow under you should quickly run. Otherwise, he'll be killed. Sovereign Emperor Xing Ji's eyes lit up when he saw this scene. What a fellow! I finally met an opponent who can deal with you. The other sovereign emperors had noticed this scene long ago. This was truly interesting when facing a peak sovereign personage. The previously strong Shao Chun had finally run into an existence that was not easy to offend. At this moment, one could either fight or run. No matter what the choice was, one just had to be decisive. The worst thing to fear was hesitation, not knowing how to make a decision. Dang! Right after Sovereign Emperor Xinggu spoke, Shao Chun stabbed the unsheathed tyrant saber into the ground in the light screen. Xiao Qin's battle hunger blazed like a fierce flame. Even through the light screen, everyone could feel his surging hot-bloodedness. What a fellow! He has a temper. The purple-haired old man could not help praising softly. Xiao Qin's decisive decision was simply delightful. Chapter 2094. Xiaoying was the top expert of the Ink Sea cluster. He was 400 years old and had already reached peak sovereign personage 100 years ago. He excelled at using the spear. When Xiaoying felt the battle hunger that erupted from Xiao Chun, he felt slightly surprised. Originally, he would not bother making a move against a small perfection sovereign personage. However, when his soul energy sensed the light of a faux god spirit jade on Xiao Qin's body and his ranking, his expression slowly turned grave. A 47-year-old small perfection sovereign personage, a follower of the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor, ranked 800. This was a demonic genius. Xiaoying was already 400 years old. He had seen all sorts of geniuses and outstanding talents. Many great perfection sovereign personages had already eliminated peak sovereign personages in this secret realm. Everyone in the secret realm knew this principle. The great perfection sovereign personages of the top 100 were even more horrifying than peak sovereign personages. Similarly, those who could make it into the top 1,000 as small perfection sovereign personages definitely had extremely strong trump cards. They could not be underestimated at all. Are you challenging me? Xiaoming asked as he looked at Xiao Chun, Xiao Qin's battle hunger sword. Naturally, the answer went without saying. He nodded slightly and did not say anything. This is the first stage of the test, and it is not time to show our true strength yet. The people in the top 100 are already avoiding fighting each other to prevent others from taking advantage of them. Think about it carefully. At this point in time, challenging me is not a wise decision. Xiaoying showed a calm expression. Not only did he not show the arrogance of a peak sovereign personage facing a small perfection sovereign personage, but he also lowered his status and discussed things with Xiao Chun. There is no way to withdraw a drawn saber. The battle hunger that has been ignited can only grow stronger. It cannot be extinguished. The other party's words made sense. If both sides ended up injured, it would be easy for others to take advantage of them. Only 10 days had passed. It was not time to go all out yet. However, right now, Xiao Chun was not thinking about how to pass the test. He just wanted to fight once, to fight to his heart's content. Ink Sea clusters Xiaoying, make your move. You will regret it. Xiaoying's eyes slowly turned cold. Previously, he had been as calm as still water. Now he suddenly erupted with a terrifying chill. Thousands of cold lights appeared behind him like stars, densely packed and flickering, materializing a vast and boundless mysterious phenomenon. Boom! Amidst the explosion of thousands of icy stars, the long spear in his hand pierced towards Xiao Chun at a speed faster than light. The spear moved, and the vast and boundless cold stars came pressing down, covering the sky and covering the earth. Xiao Chun did not retreat. He took a step forward and pulled out the tyrant's saber, stabbed into the ground. The instant Xiao Chun drew the saber light, countless electric lights flickered in the sky. 3 layers of Tao might layered over each other behind him. A dragon roar came from Xiao Chen's chest. Then, like a divine dragon, he charged forward fearlessly. Clang, clang, clang. The two of them manifested different auras as they fought against each other. Their figures flickered as they clashed with their weapons. In just a short moment, a battle of wits and courage had already passed 100 moves. Xiaoying's eyes were always as calm as ice, and his feet were as steady as an iceberg. His every move was flawless and flawless. Xiao Chun was obviously unable to remain calm in the face of someone whose cultivation was 2 realms higher than him. He could only go all out and strive to exert 110% or even 120% of his combat power with every move. When a person was at the edge of a cliff, he could only force himself to continuously outperform himself. However, Xiao Chen's opponent did not need to do so. He only needed to remain calm and not make any mistakes, waiting for his prey to make a mistake. As the two fought, one was steady and the other ferocious. It looked like Xiao Qian's might was vast, and his attacks were like the tide. His saber light flickered with an overwhelming aura. However, in reality, the spectating sovereign emperors knew that the one holding the upper hand was the Ink Sea Cluster spearman, Qiangying. It was impossible for one to always outperform oneself. There would always be mistakes. It was just a matter of size. If Xiao Chun, who continued to erupt with power, could not break Qiangying's aura and gain a true advantage, the battle might end the instant Xiao Chun made a mistake, ending in one move. Reckless fool. Sovereign Emperor Xing Gu said indifferently from above desolate cities, starry heavens. In reality, most of the sovereign emperors felt the same way. However, they would not say out loud. After all, no matter what, Xiao Qian's courage was already worthy of praise. There was no need to ask for more. No matter what, the other party was a peak sovereign personage. Xiao Qian did not have much chance of victory in the first place. Boom! Just at this moment, the situation between Xiao Qian and Qiangying suddenly changed. Qiangying, who had been fighting steadily, suddenly erupted, bringing out 130% of his combat prowess. A cold light flashed in the starry heavens. Qiangying roared ferociously and thrust his spear forward, making the starry heavens flicker and look like they were burning. Damn it! Xiao Qian's expression changed slightly. Before he could change his move, Qiangying forcefully broke his aura. The cold light at the tip of the spear burst forth with a light comparable to that of the sun. Whoosh! The spear got closer and closer. Xiao Qian's vision turned blurry. The light from the other party's spear tip was already so piercing that he could not see it clearly. Die! Qiangying's aura soared continuously as he took a ferocious step forward. With every step he took, 5 kilometers of ice appeared. A dazzling cold light burst out of Qiangying's body. Before the spear tip arrived, the vast aura forced Xiao Qian to continuously retreat. While at a disadvantage, the other party's peak sovereign personage will have soul pressed down. Qiangying wanted to kill Xiao Qian in one strike, not giving him any chance or hope of turning the situation around. Qiangying could not retreat any further. If he did, only death awaited him. Desperate situation. This was a desperate situation. Xiao Qian was at the edge of a cliff. If he took another step back, he would fall into a bottomless abyss. However, in this desperate situation, while Qiangying looked like he had a slim chance of survival, the other party was frantically erupting in order to kill him in one strike. His moves would not be as flawless as before. This was a desperate situation, but also an opportunity. Should I use a secret technique? It is not time yet. Not to mention that the other party might not have a secret technique. Xiao Qian's purpose in this battle was not to win. It was to stabilize himself between life and death, to find the saber Tao that he once lost. Sun and moon shining together. The frantically retreating Xiao Qian suddenly stopped, and his sole mysterious phenomenon, sun and moon shining together, appeared. Instantly, the pressure that the other parties will have soul placed on Xiao Qian vanished. Flawless Tao, heartbreaking chop. Xiao Qian had not experienced the pain of a broken heart for a long time already. His old wounds had already healed. If his heart shattered again, the pain that it brought would be several times more intense than before. He had tried several times in the past, but he could not persevere. Xiao Qian made his choice. Cassier. His heart shattered, and his complexion instantly paled. However, the instant his heart shattered, his physical body also brought out its boundless potential amid the boundless pain. At the crucial moment, Xiao Qian's momentum plummeted. Then he suddenly erupted. A shattered bright moon soared out from his body. Clang! Xiao Qian swung his saber light, and a loud, melodious sound shook the surroundings. At the crucial moment, the tyrant saber's blade forcefully blocked the other party's resplendent, sun-like sharp attack. The moment the saber light clashed, the ground of this special, secret realm shattered. The two were forced to their limits. He blocked it. Outside the light screen, the many sovereign emperors watched this scene incredulously, feeling shocked. He actually blocked this spear strike? I thought that this spear strike would blast him into bits. I was even worried about whether the realm spirit could save him or not. To think that he blocked it. Inside the secret realm, Qiangying was similarly shocked. His thoughts raced as he quickly made a decision. He could not let the other party counterattack. He withdrew his spear and soared into the air. The countless burning cold stars in the sky instantly entered his body. Secret technique, boundless burning stars. This Qiangying was also a ruthless person. He knew that if he gave Xiao Chan a chance to counterattack after blocking the spear strike, he would be in for a hard time. Thus, he might as well use the advantage he still held to decide the victor in one move. Outside the light screen, the many sovereign emperors who had just heaved a sigh of relief had to hold their breaths again. The two's battle was simply extremely fascinating. Thousands of changes happened in an instant. One could not miss a single second. Qiangying, who soared into the air, let the boundless burning cold stars enter his body. Then, he thrust his spear forward with an even more ferocious aura. This thrust was boundlessly ferocious. The boundless aura seemed to sweep through the world, barring all life and leaving nothing behind. Rumble. Amid loud sounds, the ground around Xiao Chun continuously exploded. The shock waves surged out, shocking everyone. When the participants watching from afar saw this scene, they were startled. If they got struck by the shock waves, they would be severely injured even if they did not die. Xiao Chun, who was in the center of the storm. The kind of pressure he faced was easy to imagine. Whoosh! Holding the tyrant's saber, Xiao Chun did not panic. He swept away the shock waves around him and pushed off with his feet, calmly retreating. What is he doing? Trying to flee? He is too naive. He has been smart all his life, but in the end, he made such a foolish mistake. Upon seeing this scene, several sovereign emperors nearly could not hold themselves back, wanting to jump up. At this crucial moment, Xiao Chun could decide the victor in one move, yet he still wanted to retreat. This was simply incomprehensible. Xiao Chun gently leaped up and retreated 50 kilometers, landing on a mound. As Xiao Chun retreated, Qiangying's spear strike, powered by the secret technique, was already twice as strong as before he retreated. In the next moment, Xiao Chun would have to face the peak strike of this secret technique. He could no longer retreat. This was the price of retreating earlier. However, retreating was not fleeing or giving up. It was just to bring out his strength more perfectly. If Xiao Chun had no fear in his heart and victory was in his grasp, what harm was there in taking a step back? Martial and soul as one, entering hell. The white-clad Xiao Chun showed a calm expression as he faced the spear strike that could tear him to shreds in the next moment. He calmly entered the state of martial and soul as one. While retreating, he silently circulated the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique and swung it. Whoosh! The swastika on Xiao Chen's forehead erupted, and an endless purgatory swallowed up Xiao Chun. Just as everyone was feeling puzzled, they saw the world suddenly lose all color, leaving only black and white. The white-clad Xiao Chun held an evil world-destroying dragon as he clashed with Qiangying's sure-kill spear strike in this black and white world. Martial and soul as one. This time, the sovereign emperors who could no longer hold back jumped up. They looked at the light screen with the starry heavens as the background in shock. This was a technique that even sovereign emperors dreamed of grasping. To think that it appeared in the hands of a small perfection sovereign personage.